Well, hey everyone. Hey, James. Good to see you. Got a few things done here before we get going. Got a few things separated out. So, and there we are. Like everybody's coming in. Just trying to get my screen lined up here for y'all. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in. Let everybody come in if they like. I'll pin it up to the top. If anybody wants to come in and visit, greatly appreciate it. Hey, Phil. Hey, Steve. Yeah, I'm a little early. That way we can quit a little earlier. Late night on a Sunday night, everybody needs to go to work the next morning. So I figured everybody would appreciate that. Hey, Robert, Michael from Vermont, up there in cold country. So I was wondering what everybody was doing with their bees today. Here in Maryland, it was about 52 today. So I went out and checked on the bees. Some of them are flying. And yeah, quit early. Anyway, they were flying. Some of them were. And I checked on one hive. Actually, it's kind of right behind me there next to this yellow hive, 10 framer. And I thought that maybe it was dead because I didn't see a whole lot. And there's Bob. He's in the chat. That's good to see him. And I'm sure he wants to come on in. The invite has been pinned to the top of the thing. And there we go.
Hey,
there he is.
What's up?
Oh, not a whole lot. I was telling everybody here that I went out this afternoon around 1 o'clock or so. Hey, Rich. And so checked on the bees. And there was a few flying. Checked on the one hive that's kind of behind me on my, let's see, right shoulder, I guess, left shoulder. And there was bees in there. They were coming boiling up out of the center of the inner cover. I said, okay, that's all I need to see. So I went ahead and I did a vaporization with oxalic acid with everybody today. Been waiting over a month to do that. And so I finally got that done. I also cleaned the bottom boards off, the not the bottom boards, but the actually chloroplast underneath the screen bottom. Didn't really see any mites from the last time I treated. That's been over a month ago. And I did see a lot of uncapping, cappings, capping wax and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so it's 70 degrees down there in Texas, down there.
Well, it was nice out today here. It was cold last night. It's going to be cold again tonight. I got my little portable heater next to me here. Hopefully I don't pop the breaker back here. I got it turned down so it's not using that much juice.
Yeah, right now it says it's 43 degrees here on the outside. I got a little ceramic heater that's running. And
well, those things run 1,500 watts. Like when you turn them on full blast. So if you run too many of them here at my house, it pops the breakers. So,
well,
supposed to get to 39 tonight.
Yeah, Rich here says he's put bananas on his bees. I guess they like that. That's natural sugar. Got the 41 down there with Phil's. Let's see, that's what he's in Michigan, and that's pretty good for that area because it's cold.
Bees were out pooping today, right?
What's that?
I think he said his bees were out pooping today.
Oh, really?
So
I don't know. Mine, I had some I mean, not all the hives were flying. Some of them were, some of them weren't.
I'm gonna put you to some bee math here in a minute.
All right.
And so I started organizing all of my boxes, right?
Yeah, I got to see a little bit of that. I didn't get to see it all.
So I've got at least 100 drawn combs, or at some stages of drawn, right? Combs in those boxes of deeps. And so almost all my deeps have drawn. I mean, now I won't say most of them. At least half of my unused deep boxes have drawn comb. So if I start splitting, then I'll just replace those combs and put those combs in the box I'm taking bees out of, right?
Hey, Ed.
So I should be able to.
Hey.
Hey, Ed.
How you guys doing tonight?
Doing
all right. Hey, Tim.
Just trying to warm the house up.
What's it? What's the temperature where you're at, Ed?
It's about 60 something. About 60 something right now. It almost got to 70 today, and I've been playing with the bees. I went and collected some more pollen. I probably got another 2 ounces of pollen out of them today.
What have you found with comb that's been outside and gotten a little bit nasty? The bees will clean it up.
You got
as
mold
far as I
there,
know,
Bob?
A little bit of mold on some of it.
They'll clean that up.
Yeah, they'll clean it up.
And the stuff that
Brian.
was too bad, I just scraped and put it in the bucket. So whenever it warms up, I'll just melt it back. Or I have to go through the boiling and pouring and rendering.
If it's mold, I always said they'll clean it. Phil says they'll clean it.
Well, what
They'll
about
even clean up moth damage.
A little bit of moth damage? I mean, obviously, if it's too much, it's got like the silk or whatever it is. It's like a webbing.
Yeah.
You pull some of that out, and they'll rebuild it.
Luckily, it got cold enough to freeze their little asses out in the stuff they were trying to tear up. So I've got it's not a lot, but compared to the bees that I have currently, it's a lot of extra drawn comb. I probably got at least 110 frames of drawn comb.
So you got 10 boxes worth, 10 brood boxes.
I got 10 brood boxes full of drawn comb, and well, actually 11 brood boxes.
All right, 11 boxes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now you got. You can start making some splits here in a month or so, and
yep,
and
that's
all that. Hey, Dennis,
that's my thing. I think I'm going to use one of those 6-frame license for a starter finisher.
Mm-hmm.
And start making some cells, and probably around, I don't know, maybe this week, right? Because it's 16 days. If it's tomorrow's the 7th, 16 to be 23rd. Maybe the second week in February, start making cells. That'll give me cells the first week in March hatching, right?
Hey, Lisa.
So that's going to be.
I would say, what I would do. You're saying you're still having a little bit of coolness in the evenings, right?
Yeah, I am.
There's a coffee cart down by the Riverwalk. Has a hot chocolate that is.
Somebody turn their sound off. JD, you got the radio on or
I'll tell
something?
you, I've never tried.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Got it.
Bob,
Yeah,
you
more dry.
froze?
Yeah.
I think Bob's froze.
Where you go? Boom. Think that
Yeah,
might
Bob's
help.
house got too cold. He froze up.
Yeah, he did. JD, you're gonna have to cut that off.
Let's see. How's it going, guys?
Doing
You
all
still
right.
got the television or something going on, JD.
We get our beans from the same vendor.
What was that?
They use
I say you got background noise.
in Argentina.
Ah, let's see.
The farms that
Well, I already
come from Fairway Farms,
muted the
Television
other
running
one.
or something?
Oh yeah, the wife's watching TV. Hey, can you turn your TV down just a tad, honey?
It's one of my favorite places around town.
Yeah, me too. I live pretty close here.
How long
A
have you
lot.
lived here?
It was 3 years this past November. Might be why I'm getting itchy feet.
Is that any better?
Yeah, I can still hear it. I mean, that's
We didn't come
Yeah.
to talk about me.
Hey,
There's
Are you watching it or are you reading your book? You turn down about 10 more notches. I'm live on the stream and it's broadcasted across it.
And bring you true love.
Oh, we're new to this thing, man.
That scares me.
What happened to Bob?
he froze up.
What happens in that
Let's see.
years and the
Yeah,
Hey,
yesterday I actually pulled off a split yesterday, guys.
Ah, yeah, we way too cold to get into the bees up here. I'm just cleaning up equipment, doing
Bobby.
some scraping.
my dad got sick.
Yeah, I opened up my double deep and started going through it and saw drones everywhere.
My mom had a really hard time.
And then the next one I looked at, I had some queen cells. I'm like, oh, okay. I had queen cups that were charged already. So I was like, okay, we gotta do something quick. So I split them out.
You already know what happened. The breaker popped.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, and everything shut down. So the stupid man, this house. Well, first of all, I gotta say this house is a decent house, but it was built in 1960, right? We didn't have big screen TVs and computers and all this other stuff. So
They put 28
microwave.
breakers in, right?
Well, yeah, and for some reason, they got that breaker that's got two breakers on one single breaker.
Yeah, double pole breaker, yeah.
And that's what they're running for these back rooms. So if you start running too much juice or the microwave, pow, pops it. So the problem is, well, there's a lot of problems. They put the breaker is in the kitchen on the kitchen wall, right? Well, when my dad passed away, my mom had the kitchen redone, and the people that built the cabinets put the cabinet and the shelf over top of that breaker panel. So
That's illegal.
well, so now I'm going to have to go and take that shelf out so I could take the front off the breaker panel so I can replace those with some new ones. That may fix it, right? Because they're very old breakers.
Well, you need to you have to split the
Split them
circuit
into
out.
separate
Circuit
breakers.
out, yeah. Now, Dennis, Ed is what, Alabama, Ed, you're in? Down there with, I think.
He's right near.
Yeah, we're in Dothan, Alabama.
Yeah, well, Dennis, Barney wanted to know. What was that?
And that's Jack, right? J&D.
I guess.
He's muted.
He's got the,
No, that wasn't me making noise.
Your name's Jack, right?
No, Jim.
Jim.
James, actually. I go by Jim.
Okay. And where are you located?
Up in Michigan.
Oh, like when you say up in Michigan, like the UP, or
About mid-state.
okay. Yeah, I used to work at Michigan State in the radiology department over there. So,
One of them glowworms.
Oh yeah, nuclear cyclotron there.
So how many hives you got, JD?
I got 7,
7.
and all alive still so far.
I've got
That's good.
15 working to 7.
That's not good.
Hey, DC.
I'm working in the wrong direction.
Yeah, threw it in reverse.
Yeah, it's well,
Brandon.
those buckets, I am not impressed. I don't know how everybody uses those buckets, but I'm not impressed with the buckets. Bucket feeders.
Yeah, I
It
use
seems like
wraparounds.
all they do is drip inside my colony and kill bees. So I don't know. It seems like everyone that I've put a feeder on has went backward in with those feeders. So if I'm gonna put feed on them, I'm probably gonna drop frame feeders back in.
Well, you're like me, where the temperature changes up and down so much that it builds up pressure, then it creates a vacuum, then it builds up pressure, and that's what happens. That's why I go with open feeding.
Yep, that's
Well, I mean, if I do feed, it's usually a top high feeder. Of course, I'm usually feeding in the fall, or I'll do if it's a small hive or whatever, I'll do a quart jar and then cover it up with a box.
well. I mean, even those migratory covers that I got from Bob there, I could put a jar upside down in there, right? Same deal, and the glass doesn't flex like the bucket does. So,
Well, you could take the lid off and put the bucket over top of the quart jar or something like that, just to protect it from other bees making robbing and all that kind of stuff.
right.
But or you do a frame feeder. Frame feeder, you will have some drownage somewhat, but I don't know. Didn't you say you had some of those frame feeders, Bob?
Yeah, I got a metric ton of them.
Really?
I got 25 or 30 of those things sitting outside.
You have do they work? I mean, as far as drowning problem?
Well, I find when enough bees drown in there, the other bees don't have a problem standing on them to get their feed, I guess. But yeah, they drowned in there too. So it's like,
How about putting some kind of floaty stuff in there?
might be. I mean, I might be able to do that. It's got the cap and ladder.
Cap and ladder.
It's those ones that
They were at the conference.
Mother load,
center.
yeah,
Mother load.
Yeah. I mean, they're okay.
Hey, Silver Gorilla. What, Silver Gorilla? What's your name? Right.
But let me see. Silver Gorilla's got a ton of bees.
What's his name?
I know his name somewhere. I have it on my other.
Now, DC is Brandon, right?
Where at Mid-State, Phil says, because Phil's up there, and James is up there, and James is, well,
I'm kind of right across from Tawas Bay, Lake Huron, Tawas.
Sean Buteris or Bouters is in Lansing. So we got a lot of Michigan beekeepers up there.
About time.
All them blueberries they got up there.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what they got? Blueberries?
Yeah,
oh, that makes some awesome honey.
Blueberries and
Here he comes.
Hey guys, good evening, good evening.
What's up, man? I saw your video today.
Here he
I
comes.
thought it was a video that you're posting. I didn't know it was live, and then I had went live, and I got off my live, and I saw, oh, Rich is live, but you were just posting up.
And what happened is it goes to private automatically. So, yeah. Apparently, once my videos are posted, I have to.
You have to manually change them once you publish it. They have to manually change it in the tool for it.
Yeah, big time. But yeah, bees are doing good. Went out, fed them today. We're supposed to be warming up down here in South Texas, so got some more rain coming, but still not enough. I was talking to my mentor. He said the last time he's seen it bloom out the whole year was about 5 or 6 years ago. and that was because we were having 2 weeks of rain, or every 2 weeks we were having steady rain for about a day or two, and it kept the bloom going for the whole year. So 5 or 6 years ago is when Texas had a whole bloom for the whole year. Give or
My
take.
mentor said the same thing yesterday. He said, "Hey, not for nothing, but ever since you've been beekeeping, we really haven't had a good year. Just to let you know, so there should be a good year coming eventually."
That's exactly what my mentor said.
Well,
He's like,
has it rained where you're at to fill that lake up anymore?
not yet, Charlie. It's rain, but what's coming through right now? That lake is at 6%, right? 6% full, and like you were saying, in some of those back areas, Charlie, like you'd seen those
It's
watersheds,
totally dry.
dude, totally dry, Charlie. Even again, yes, Brian, I am. Yes, sir. Yep. I'm in the hill country. Yep.
I didn't think Texas had hills.
Oh, hill country is known, dude. No, hill country is known for the hill country. Yeah, it's known. That's why it's called the hill country, because it's
beautiful.
Yeah, it is. People come from all over the world to come to the hill country, Texas, because really what these towns were throughout the hill country were old stock towns. You guys were old Western stock towns, historical stock towns. They call them farm to market roads here because they were for real stock market. They would drive stock in and out of these towns, in and out of the hill country. The town I'm in, it goes back to like the 1880s. It's old. It's old. And every town outlying here, about the same.
So we're talking about cattle country.
Big time. Yeah, a lot of stock back here. Yeah.
You would think those hay fields would be good for honey production.
Well, when there's water, yeah. There's one of my old clients. He actually had watermelons on his field, and because of drought, he couldn't grow them, man. Couldn't grow them. Sucked, man. And you're talking, it's probably had about 200 acres of watermelons, you know. And last time I drove by there, it was just completely dry. So, you know, it really is. Texas has the geology of Texas alone, right? You got to look at the geology of Texas. We're in the Gulf, right? It's the weather patterns that cross over in this area. It's either really dry or really wet. It's never in between. We had a little bit of dry or wet, cold here with this weather we just had, because right where we're at, literally, we're right on the cusp of where those two weather systems were meeting, literally. So we got the ice, rain, and the cold all together. A little bit of sleet. Yeah, but it is. It's a beautiful part of Texas, man. It really is. You got Fredericksburg out there, and that's where I'm actually going to go buy flower seeds. Is because one of the people in a beekeeping group out here said, "Hey, go out there and buy your flower seeds, man. Go out there. You're going to pay a little bit, but you're going to get good seeds." She said she had paid about $200 for about 5 pounds of wildflower seed, and that she threw them all over her property. So, you know, people are actually making a difference in that part out here to repollinate the area. So
I'm in the Texas black gumbo. That's what
What's
Silver
that?
Gorilla just said. I don't know geology of Texas that much.
yeah, I think that's up. I'm in the hill country, man. It's all limestone out here. That's what's a lot of limestone and a lot of really acidic dirt.
Dennis said last year was very dry. His friend came close to selling his cattle.
A lot of people here in Texas sold cattle last year because of that reason. It really was. A lot of people out here in Texas dumped their cattle this last year. There were videos on YouTube, and it was just farmers just lined up, man, selling their cattle, man. Well, yeah, okay. We talked another history lesson. Yeah, after World War II, a lot of Nazi war criminals settled in Texas. Let's be clear on that, okay? Nazi war criminals. No BS. No BS. They weren't right. A lot of Germans settled, but within those Germans were a lot of Nazi war criminals, and some of them are in the town next over where I live, and that's not a lie. No bullshit, man. Yeah, there's Nazi war criminals here in Texas. They just never been found.
Well,
Yeah, but I think as far as like the Nazi or the German prisoners.
Yeah, a lot of German POWs came to Texas. Yes. Yeah.
Even in Maryland, right here where I live, my father said there was a German soldier that was captured, brought to a farm down the road here. Now it's a school, but he stayed there for so long and then went back to Germany after the war, and they corresponded over those years back in the 40s. And another friend of mine, he went out to, oh, I don't know, wherever mule deer hunting is, in Oklahoma or someplace out in there. But anyway, he said there's anything interesting, and the farmer said he would go out and help him, and then he would be able to hunt for free.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he said, well, there's the POW camp, which is up in the hills someplace. He just watch out for the copperhead or rattlesnakes and stuff up there. And he said it was like there wasn't any barbed wire or anything like that because they were so far removed, they never would find their way out. And so anyway, he said it was like they had just packed up and left. There's German money, coins laying around here and there, posters, everything in German, I presume. And
a lot of
it was a pretty neat place.
Yeah. A lot of Jews settled in Texas too, though. Jews and Germans settled in Texas. A lot of the Jews settled in San Antonio, then the Germans settled on the outlying parts of San Antonio.
But most people don't know that they actually shipped, prisoners of war over here.
Yep.
It was quite interesting.
First place they came was a lot of POWs was to America.
Yeah.
A lot of them to Texas. Yeah. And like we were staying up in Maryland. Yep. Yeah. Pflugerville, you got New Braunfels. Yep. That's another, there's Fredericksburg. That's the German settlement. Kerrville, that's a German settlement.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All of these little towns.
So I seen where you said you put a banana in your beehive.
Yes, sir.
What's that? They just like the pure sugar out of that?
This is something my mentor taught me, Charlie. He's like, I've been feeding my bees bananas for years. And he said he usually does it right going into spring down here in Texas. He says, whether it's the sugar, the enzymes, the vitamin, whatever is in bananas,
Mm-hmm.
there's something in there that beefs them up just going into spring. He's like, it kicks them into overdrive. It's a protein boost. I got 8 pounds of sugar on them right now, Charlie. Dude, they didn't want anything to do with the sugar. They wanted the bananas.
Really?
Straight for the bananas, yeah. Put bananas and pollen patties on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they went straight for the bananas. They didn't want anything to do with the sugar. And all I did was a little round.
I know it's potassium is in bananas,
Yeah.
and of course there's natural sugar in bananas, a high content,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of stuff. And we lost Ed there.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure it's the sugar number one, which is more natural. And they like that.
Yeah.
Plus, you figure,
So potassium.
Sharon says potassium.
That's
And
there's potassium. That's probably certain enzymes that they're not getting in sugar.
and then like Brian says about the mineral content, and then you figure just moisture itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they're almost licking it. When I was watching them, it was almost like they're licking it. They weren't so much eating it. So
Right. But, so anyway, that's interesting. I've heard about that, but never had anybody talk about exactly how the bees react to that.
they love it.
Maybe I'll try that. I'll have to try that and see how that works.
Yeah, just throw them right on top of your frames on the top top frames right there. And I
You
just
do. I'm sure you peel them, right?
Yeah,
right?
definitely. Yeah, definitely you want to peel them for sure. Yeah, you want to peel them for sure. And then what you do is you just cut them in quarter sizes, man. About the give or take the thickness of a quarter if you can get it. I mean, you don't want them over thick. You don't want them like.
So you don't put the whole thing in there. You slice it.
I sliced them. Yeah, I sliced about 8 or 9 pieces of banana, not lengthwise, but just chopped it 8 or 9.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
like
laid
little,
it up. Yeah, little coins. Just laid it
like
right.
like little coins in there.
Yeah, just laid it
Okay,
right.
I thought you sliced it the length of it, and
You
just
could do that too.
Wow.
You can do that too, but I didn't want to overload them so early. I mean, they were going right for it. I'm figuring probably in another week, I'll go back in there and put more on them, maybe sooner.
now will they eat that to the point where it's gone when you go back?
Yeah, it'll be completely gone. You might see a little spot on the bar where they left
Yeah.
it, but that's it. You're not going to see it.
That's it.
They're gonna eat it up. When I go out and put more on it later next week, I'll do a before and after video because I put a video up today and I don't know, within a minute, of putting it on there, they smelled it and they were going right to it. They weren't wasting any time on it.
Yeah, it's like I was telling Bob and Ed there. I went out there today. It was about 52. What it said in my pickup truck, and it was It was a couple of weeks ago that was supposed to be 50 degrees, but it was that cold, damp 50 degrees, and they were all clustered up and pretty tight. So I didn't do anything. And anyway, I went out there today, and some of them were flying, and that kind of stuff. So I went ahead and oxalic acid vaporized them all, and checked the bottom boards as far as the coroplast, and didn't see any mites. I think I might have saw one on one of the boards, mostly uncapping debris. I know scraped all that stuff off. So I guess I'll go out there in about 3 days and check to see what kind of drop I've got.
You
I'm
said,
kind of,
you said you're OAing yours. How often you said you're doing yours in the winter, Charlie?
what's that? OA?
Yeah, yeah.
I do it in the winter. I was watching Bob Benny, and you had Jennifer Berry on there who did an experiment, and she basically said the same thing that I had believed in, that I could take, and I used to vaporize. Let's see, September, October. I would vaporize around middle to about the third week of September. I would start, and I would vaporize twice a week consecutively for 6 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks. Then the time would change to where, it would get dark earlier on me. So then I would quit. And a couple years ago, I lost about 50% or more of my nukes.
Hey, Lee.
Hey, Lee. And so my theory was I could, every 3 to 4 days, I would vaporize, and I would get those mites coming up out of the cappings after they would hatch. And that basically, I said everybody else, I see, and they said, well, they only get the thoratic mites or this or that, or everything's 80% underneath the cappings. And I said, well, Aprovar only kills thoratic mites, the mites that are on the bees, not underneath the cappings, but it does a good job. So I said, why, if I do it twice a week, I should be able to have near the same consistency or whatever. And so I found, and then she said the same statement. And then she did a science experiment and proved that was not the case, that you can't keep up with it that way. So I said, okay, you finally convinced me that, that you've been saying it's only really good when they're either broodless or near broodless. So what I do is in August, I either do Formic Pro or Apriguard or Aprovar. And I've been doing Aprovar, Formic Pro, and oxalic in the wintertime. And I try to do 1 or 2 treatments of oxalic acid in the winter just to keep the baseline down. Now, the only thing I can go by this year, and I'll probably sign up for it next year, is I was asked to participate in the National Honeybee Survey for the APIS thing for, I have the book paper here someplace, but anyway, I did, and the reports come back to where it states that they did like 1,100 bees in the alcohol wash out of 8 different hives, mixed all up together, and I had 2 mites they found in that. So it's like the percentage rating is 0.2, so it's less than 1%. So with that knowledge, my mite treatment program seems to be working. And I didn't see any mites on the drop from the last treatment that I did, except for 1 or 2 on one of them. So we'll see that in the next 3 days and see whether I still have a low count, which that's what you're never going to get rid of them, but you're going to try to keep them at a low count.
Yeah.
So
you want it like what do you want them at? What's the percentage you want it at?
1%.
1%. Okay.
You can go up to 2, but 2 you should be concerned or start treating. 3 for definitely any more treating. When I first started this stuff, they used to say, oh, if you have 12 or 15 of them in a wash, and that was back in the sugar roll days, Hey, Stacy. And, that was okay. And every year, it seems like year after year after year, you get to the point where they keep decreasing and decreasing and decreasing the percentage number.
what
Now
that
it's
means?
down.
They don't.
Huh?
You know what that means, right? They really don't friggin' know what it needs to be.
Well, they actually had come out and stated that, admitted to the fact that they didn't realize how detrimental the Varroa mite was, especially when it first came to this country, until it about damn near wiped everything out.
The
Do they know where Varroa originated from?
Over in Europe.
Europe, huh?
Oh, well, not Europe, but Asia over there, where that Taiwan, places like that.
Okay.
It all came to about where the beekeeper or the almond growers and everybody went to the ag department of the United States. Hey, we need more bees to pollinate our almonds, and we can fly these bees in from out of the United States at the time, and we can inspect and we'll be okay. Well, guess what? All they did was
Hey, Cajun.
bring them right in.
Yeah, America's like, yeah, just bring them on in. Australia's like, hey, hold the hell up. Y'all can wait right there. We're gonna go ahead and inspect every damn bee in that colony before we let it on our continent. How about that? America's like, yeah, hey, come on in. Hey, no problem.
Well, they didn't. Australia up until recently, they didn't allow any bees to come into their. They were completely shut down.
They had an issue this last year with the Varroa issue.
Oh, it finally got there.
Oh man, and they were Australia about lost their damn mind.
Yeah,
well, there was. I do know there was one story where they found a swarm of bees that was kind of like hopping from island to island, you might say, and it was getting. They found it on a neighboring island or right offshore or something like that, and they sent the army out there with flamethrowers. And they cooked them bees. They weren't allowed to come in. That was a true story.
They weren't taking any chances. Well, that's it. And Australia still they have the strictest import laws, and they still got in. And I was watching them when it happened, and they were burning yards within a 10 kilometer radius of the port when it happened. They got out of control, man, and Australia was scared.
And they still probably didn't kill them all.
Nah, no. And he said, look, Dennis said they brought them over on a balloon.
I brought them over on a balloon. You know what I don't understand? Speaking of that balloon, they shot it down over South Carolina, right?
Did they shoot it down finally?
Yeah, they let it get that far inland, though.
But how do you let it go across the whole United States? And as it's leaving over the ocean, that's when you decide to shoot it down. They already have the data.
You're like, hey, we're going to go ahead. We're going to shoot it down now that it's made it all the way across America, everybody. Okay? Right. It's they can't get any further now, okay?
Yeah. We can't get any more data. So let's go ahead.
Get more data off of them. Let's just go ahead and shoot it down, make it look like we did something about it anyway.
So was that a spy thing with China? Or do they know who it is or what?
Supposedly it was China. That's what I saw, but I don't know. Who knows?
It's actually Bob Walker Bee Ranch.
Yeah.
Let's just start a conspiracy theory that it was Bob Walker.
But it was the Russian that hacked Walker Bee Ranch.
It was the Russians trying to hack Bob Walker Bee Ranch's bee.
They had to knock out his air conditioner and heater.
Yeah. Well, the AC works fine. It's the heat doesn't work. See, now the AC will go out in the summer, right?
Yeah.
That's what's been happening.
The chow mein deal.
That was the deal Biden made with Chow Ming. Chow Ming.
Talk politics, man. Yeah. They want to talk politics. They should talk about bees and how we can, I don't know, maybe do something different about it. Help them instead of help the politicians with the money.
I was out in my bee yard most all the day and just repairing boxes, painted a box, repainted a box, emptied out boxes, right? Organized frames.
That was actually Andrew Tate farewell balloon, everybody. Okay.
Fang's Valentine balloon.
Oh man. Yeah, too much.
No remorse.
Son of one, how's your bees doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. Apparently, they're getting a little frisky. I got nailed 3 times today, and I wasn't even trying to get in them. I was just watching them work.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't even get stung today, DC. You'd been proud. No stings.
Those are the first 3 stings of this year. So
Getting blessed already.
So when you split those bees, you split them into 10 framers? You just split the colony in half?
like directly in half. Yep. I made sure the queen was in the bottom, and because the 3 queen cells or cups were in the top, so I just moved it over onto a bottom board and put a top on it and let them rip.
Were you worried about the foragers going back to their original colony and leaving that colony light?
Yeah. What I did is I put some foliage in front of the opening, so they had to reorientate when they came out. And I probably still lost some of them when they went out today. They come back and realize they were right next to where they were at.
I'd probably give it a couple days, and then when next time you go back in and see how they're doing, you might need to shake some more nurse bees, like into I don't know if you have a pro nuke. They work great to shake nurse bees in, and let the foragers fly out of that pro nuke, and then what's left behind is babies, right? Then you can just add that other colony on a ramp. You can just put a ramp dump on there. They'll walk right up in.
That's what my mentor told me. He's like, you can put a board down or something if you're going to split. So, make sure you get your queen, right? Get her out, put her in a cage, and then start shaking bees onto a board. Shake it right in front of another box. He's like, those nurse bees, they'll walk right up in because they don't know where home is. And he's like, the nurse bees that are on the verge of becoming foragers, he's like, they'll switch over roles and they'll become foragers. Make sure you
That's what
your queen.
That's what they call it, tearing off split.
Yeah, that's what he said. He couldn't explain what it was, and it's like, I don't know what the name of the split is, but he's like, this is just one way you can do it.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, that way we did it. I don't know that it can get any easier than that, what we did last week.
What'd you do, Bob?
Just basically brood up to a box, like 4 frames of brood.
Okay.
Out of the mother colony.
Okay.
Put a queen excluder on that mother colony and put the 4 frames of brood in frames on top of that.
Okay.
And then the nurse bees from below come up and populate that box, right, to keep the brood warm.
Yep.
I let them stay in there overnight. The next day I came out, got that double screen bottom board, put it underneath it, put the box back, split, done.
Quick, huh? Just like that,
Yep.
huh? Nice.
Didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, I've done that on my nukes, and I was, working the hives and stuff, going down the line, and I went and did like you said, take the top box off, or get yourself an empty box, pull out the frames that you want, the brood and all that, and fill it up. And then, like you say, put that queen excluder on there and put the box back on there. So I left it on there, and I'm like, okay, well, it's been 15 minutes, maybe 20 at the most. I'll go up there and see, how well it's doing. Shoot, that sucker was totally full of bees.
Yeah.
And that just gives you that peace of mind that, hey, you don't have to worry about it. You can take that box off. The queen's not in there. She's downstairs. You pull the box off with bees. So now you just decrease the population.
Yep.
And you can go into the bottom box that, let's say you only have 5 frames to look at. It ought to make it a whole lot easier to find the original queen.
All we did is we shook every bee back into the original box.
Yeah.
Right? And that way, if the queen was on there, all the bees went back and were in the mother colony. Took those frames, set them to the side, filled up empty comb where I took them out, put the queen excluder on, put that box back on top, close it up, come back the next day, and they were packed. Well, with enough, right?
Well, all the foragers from the original mother colony, will they stay down in that bottom box?
Well, even if they get to the top, right? When you put that bottom board on there, they'll fly out and come back to the front.
To the mother colony, okay.
The mother colony,
Okay.
where they're used to.
Okay.
So Brad, he bought cage some 15% pollen from up there from Hive. That's what I got too, along with Apis Biologic.
So that
Have to give us an update on that and see how much, since it's got Apis Biologic in there, see if it's going to brood them up real quick.
Well, my girls are bringing it in today. They were packed with pollen on the legs coming in. So I don't know where they're finding it, but it was cold the last few days and rainy.
Well, that means one thing: you're making brood. You see that? That's a good indicator.
Yeah, my girls are bringing in pollen. They're making brood, but it's slow. It's slow.
Man, I put a short live out this afternoon on my phone.
Yeah,
and showing the front of the main colony that I had split off of, and they were just all over the front of that hive today, coming and going.
That's good.
with pollen.
Yep.
Yep,
That's cool.
Here.
There wasn't. I mean, my bees were flying, but there's nothing out there. Nothing coming in.
And you guys just got hit with that rowdy cold storm up there, right?
Ours.
Yeah, you guys just had some pretty cold weather up there, didn't you?
Oh yeah. I mean, Wednesday or Monday it was like 55 degrees, and last night I think it was like 25 at night.
Okay.
Now today, by 1:30, 2 o'clock, you got up to about 50, 52. Didn't feel like it, but
Yeah, Lee.
it was decent.
Quit bragging, Lee. Okay, we know your girls have too much pollen already. Okay. That's cool.
They were too heavy. How would you know? You ain't seen your bees in like 6 months. Do you keep bees, Lee?
Yeah,
We haven't seen any videos. I don't think there's any proof. Would it say if you didn't film it, it didn't happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, he takes videos of taking them out of people's yards, though.
Oh man.
Now he's gonna-
I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah, South Texas will get a freeze in late April or mid-April by Easter. Between beginning of April and Easter, there'll be another like light freeze in Texas. Won't be a hard freeze, but it'll be like a light frost.
It'll just get really cold.
Yeah, it won't be like it's not going to be like a harsh cold. It's just have like a temperature.
Now they're saying this week for us, by the end of the week or by the middle to the end, it'll be 55. At least it's supposed to be a big warm up. So maybe I'll be able to get out there and I won't say dig into the hives, but I want to kind of check the top boxes when it comes to food.
Yeah.
Just, make sure there's
I'm
enough.
still losing bees with this cold. Still losing bees. They're just, you look at the bottom board and it's covered with dead bees.
Really?
Still got clusters, but dead bees because of
It's like those pieces of the carpet I got wrapped around my hives there. There's a couple of them where they wrap around the corner, and there's a cross member where the bee rack is. And for some reason, the bees got down in there, it was kind of like the cluster on the outside of the box. Of course, they were all frozen, dead, and everything.
right.
So,
Silver, where are you located at, bro? You're in Texas too, right? Silver's in Texas, right?
He's in
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And then Michael is where are you located at? He's 20.
Michael's in Vermont.
That's right,
Yeah.
Vermont. Yeah, I got Michael Palmer coming in this. I think he's supposed to be live here in my county this coming Saturday, the 11th. Coming in for a talk. Yep, it's this Saturday. I presume it's going to be live. I emailed the president of that club. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, you're close to Red River. Okay, so you're almost up by Oklahoma then. It's going up that way.
An hour northeast of Dallas, close to Red River.
You know why Red River is familiar? Because I just got done watching Highwaymen on Netflix with Woody Harrelson and Kevin Costner. And that's
You went back and watched Rotten again too, didn't you?
yeah, but there's another one out there too that I sent you, and it was it's called Dirty Money.
Yeah.
There's another one called Dirty Money, and there's another one about I think it had to do with bees. something else to do with honey.
Probably tainted honey from China.
Yeah.
Let's see by a show of hands in the comments who's watched it now. Rotten on Netflix.
I have.
Lawyers, Guns, and Honey.
Yep. Lawyers, Guns, and Honey.
First episode. It's the very first episode.
Check Dirty Money too. There's another one called Dirty Money, and there's also something else about bees on there. I just can't remember what episode it is. Definitely check it.
Yeah, you need to watch that. It's pretty insightful on the way that they how China was adulterating the honey and how
Oh, it costs the beekeepers in America billions of dollars.
Yep, and then
Billions of dollars.
the government finally said no.
Nope, no more.
No more Chinese honey. But then China starts sending it to like Thailand,
Yep.
and then Thailand will send it over.
They basically third party it.
Transshipping.
Yeah, they third party it, and they basically jump shipping labels. They'd ship it to another country, and that country would ship another label on it. Be like, yeah, it's from this country, but
We need to send a spy balloon over there to see where they're getting their honey from.
China's a bitch. Yeah, if you have dirty money, you gotta launder it, man, and that's exactly what was going on, dude. And don't think, man, our government was tied up in that honey crap too, man. Somebody had to allow it in, man. Come on, somebody's taking payoffs on that.
Yeah, it went in the president's back pocket.
Yeah, it went in the president's pocket. Absolutely right. That's exactly who.
Conspiracy theories here.
Yeah, no, China can bring in more honey once we feel we need it. Yeah,
Well,
government.
they say that the U.S. consumes more honey than anybody else in the world.
Right, and the thing is what were they saying on that? How is it a country that doesn't consume any honey or produce any honey export more than its production?
The hives are physically capable.
Yeah, it's like, okay, how does China, one country that produces very little honey, producing metric tons of it every year?
Right.
Because they send balloons over people's country and they get shot down. That's the price they got to pay to send them the honey so they can adulterate it and send it back.
They're just ballooning hives over to the Northeast United States. They're
now that they got
creating Charlie's apiaries over there.
yeah, so it's like
They just land them in that big ass field behind him there.
yeah, it's like that year suddenly Vietnam.
Charlie, if I had that field, you would see it would look like the oil fields in Texas, man. It would just be so many boxes. I would be so poor because I would just have boxes upon boxes. They might be empty like mine are here, but they'd be out there. They'd look good.
It really was what Bob, guys, economically, what that did for the beekeeping industry, wiped it out, man. Dude, it hurt the beekeepers so bad. The price of honey, it dropped 10 years ago this happened.
Mhm.
Dude, the price of honey dropped exponentially compared to what it is now. Look what it is now. All right. Look what it was back then when honey was being adulterated by China. Look at the cost.
What is the matter of fact? That's what I'm going to Google right now. Average price of honey,
Commercial, about $2 or $3 a pound.
USA.
Is there a different pricing, Charlie, for commercial versus?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like if you have with the dark honey, what's it called? Buckwheat. That goes more in towards cooking and food processing more so.
Okay.
In 2021, the average price of honey was $2.54 a pound, and obviously that puts in commercial, right? Commercial prices.
Yeah.
Let me see.
But what it is, what's it now? 2023 for commercial.
Natural honey price and chart in the US. Let's see. I don't know who Selena Lamucci is, but 341 now for a kilogram of honey in the United States. So
For commercial.
there's
Okay.
2.2 kilograms in a pound, right?
2.2 pounds to a kilo. Yeah.
Wow, then that's even worse. So 341. Export values, natural honey.
I mean, if you were going to sell raw honey to the end user,
$10 to $12 a pound.
Okay, 10 to 12 a pound. Okay.
Well, hey guys, I think I'm gonna go ahead and jump on out and just go on the sideline, get my darn radio face off of this thing.
All right, JD.
All right, see you.
We'll,
Good.
all right, we'll catch you on the next one, maybe.
Thanks for
You guys
stopping.
have a good one.
Yep. I guess that was the export price when the U.S. exports honey.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up here in one of the magazines. They usually have a listing of that.
The import price was $2.28 per kilogram. So that's $1 a pound import. That means you could get a drum for $660 or something like that.
Here we go. February regional honey prices. They do it by regions.
Okay.
From Maryland up into the New England states, I guess you would call it. That's region 1. 55-gallon drum light, $2.66 a pound. Amber is $2.58. 60 pound light retail, $237.73.
That's to buy a 5-gallon pail.
Yeah.
Retail. So what did you say? well,
I figure $238 divided. Yeah, let's say 238 divided by 60 pounds, which is 5 gallons, $3.96
retail
For a pound?
per pound
for
for 5 gallons.
Okay.
Amber light is basically about $239 instead of 30. It's about $1 difference.
Frank, where are you when I need you, Frank? My heater's shot. You need to come on out.
He's causing toilet paper shortage issues.
Johnny Carson.
Let's see. Shelf prices. 12 ounce. Let's see. 1 pound glass or plastic, $10.07. 2 pound is $18.28.
Mississippi has nukes for $135 in the spring. Italians. right in Moss Point, Mississippi, which is right across the Alabama border there.
Probably out there near Tim. Gun line.
Yeah, it's near Tim. $135.
So I don't know. It's like James up there. He sells it, he wholesales it and retails it. And he had that guy that did some kind of jellies up there that he was buying it by the 5 gallon buckets.
Somebody got something like banging in the background.
I heard this bang, 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 bang.
Yeah. Is that just me? I've been hearing it the whole stream.
Are you hearing this?
It sounds like something's tapping.
That's me
Yeah.
tapping a cigarette on my ashtray.
No,
No,
it's something more distinct.
it's like a bass.
Yeah, it's real repetitive. You hear it too, right, Charlie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't hear it.
Oh, I do because I'm getting feedback on the mic for it.
Of course, that's
Now
my.
it's fine. Now it's
It's
gone.
Ed. It's Ed or whatever it is.
Yep, it's Ed. Yeah. Okay. Once Ed muted his mic, it was gone.
I muted it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
No, I didn't. I still didn't hear it.
Oh, I do. It's not. It sounds like somebody's like tapping their foot or something, or like their finger.
Sounds like the Indians are fixing to attack. Y'all are not politically
Yeah, DC,
correct.
I got big headphones on my head. I can hear like every little thing. Yeah.
Oh, I sell all my honey right here at the Sawmill.
Oh, you know what I did hear, and I don't know if I told you guys. You remember Jono, right? That made Jono's Easy Vape.
Mhm.
There was a rumor that he's retired, but he's not retired. He's still making them. So, used to be able to get that vaporizer for like less than $200, right?
Yeah.
Less than $200. Now it's not as fancy schmancy, but it's the same thing. It works. The same controller, same box, right?
I think he was just overrun with the amount of orders he was having. And all that I know of.
Just trying to see if there was any good stuff for sale on Marketplace with the bees.
Nothing.
Let's see. I always start with Beehive and see what comes up. Flow Hive, 3-pound packages for $130 here. Buy me 10 of those. I've never bought a package ever.
I got my mentor here. You know,
Hey, there's a Beehive lifter for sale for $1,500 in Monroe, North Carolina.
What's it look like?
Like that one that we were looking at the other evening together.
Oh yeah.
Like
where are you looking at that at?
Facebook Marketplace. It's in Monroe, North Carolina. $1,550. Says it's made in the USA. It looks a little bit different than the other one. It still leans back like that other one does, but it's here. I'll show it to you. Hey, Brad.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, you have to share it on there to see it.
Hey guys.
That's kind of like Brad's a little bit. I believe that's the one that he's down in Alabama, the ball-headed beekeeper.
Ball-headed beekeeper.
Yeah, Randall Carter, I think his name is.
Does he have one of those?
Yeah, that was the one where he tried to put the beehive on a set of cinder blocks, and the darn thing just rolled off forward, did a somersault. And I was reading his or somebody had commented about like the one that James has. And he had commented, he said, yeah, if I had to do it over again, he would have bought that one compared to what he bought this American made job.
Well,
so anyway,
$1,500 though. I mean, it's not,
that's a pricey thing for that. So what's happening, Brad? You do anything in the bee yard today, or was it too on? That's right. You're up in the middle of nowhere with the cold weather.
Bee yard. Yeah. Walking around in 3 feet of snow. That's what I did in a bee yard today. No, I didn't. $1,500. Last, I don't know what's Boris's machine go for today. It was $1,800 when I bought it. So I think that's 18 US though. So worth the extra, I think.
Yeah. The one he had was more like similar to yours, but not exactly.
It didn't look as heavy or as tall.
No.
let me see.
Yeah, no, I just kind of stayed in today and did some association business and relaxed and spent time with my wife.
And I actually got out in the yard today and started organizing drawn comb from undrawn frames and
good for you.
Getting them separated, getting some boxes worked on. Not new boxes, but working on my old boxes to make them hopefully last another year. And
you've been pre-waxing any frames, Bob?
I've got some that are pre-waxed in the kitchen. Then people are like, well, don't pre-wax them too early. And I don't know what too early is, but
well, I don't know if it would apply in your world, but I have had some frames that I pre-waxed and they ended up getting quite a bit too much wax on them, but in the cold weather they start to flake off. but I mean cold weather.
Yeah.
Way below freezing.
Well, so I've got some that are pre-waxed. Obviously, I've got some that have the wax that came on them from the factory, but I don't have enough wax to do all the frames that I have to wax.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, of course. I think maybe pre-wax too early. They might be thinking of moths, because moths can get in even at that.
I've seen people they'll take that new waxed frame from the factory, like plastic frame, and they'll hit it with a hair dryer and heat that wax back up again, and then give it back to them. And I don't know
what?
I've never done it.
I've mistakenly let my foundation sit in the sun, and it kind of melts the wax, and it doesn't do anything good for it. I don't think that's helpful to me.
Yeah, I've had that problem too, where that black plastic, you get a little sun out there, you can see it, it's wet.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
Don't take much, a couple minutes, about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If it's a hot day.
Yeah, I'm always careful to
I always
stand my frames on the north side of the hive out of the sun.
either that or, if it's brand new, stuff, I keep it in the box until I'm
Leave
ready
it in
to
the
buy
box. Yeah.
So I've got about 11 boxes of fully drawn comb. So
Nice.
Well, I mean, that for guys like you, it doesn't sound like much, but when you've got
No, it's percentages,
17,
right?
18 colonies and you've got 11 colonies worth of drawn comb sitting off to the side.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's nice. That's a nice resource to have sitting beside
The
you.
thing of it is, Bob, look at it this way. You've got 22 nukes worth of comb there that you can use.
Yep.
And you don't need to use all of it. Like, if you're, depending on why you're wanting to use it. But if you're trying to give them a little extra space to mitigate swarming, if you got a 10 frame box and you're trying to give them a little bit of space to mitigate swarming, you don't have to put 10 frames of comb above them. Just don't put 10 frames of foundation above them. Put maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 frames of comb above them. Put some foundation in there. Because if they're going to swarm, they're going to be likely on a flow. So they're going to build anyway.
Right.
So, that's what I'm saying. That you don't have to just use it all up right away, but giving them something is what you need.
Well, I figured if I made a split into a nuke box and then replaced that comb in the original mother colony with drawn comb, then I could put, a couple frames of foundation in the nuke box so they could draw it out in a nuke box as well. So
Depends on strength and flow. Nukes sometimes don't want to draw too much comb, but depends on strength of the colony and the flow available.
But
Right.
if he feeds it like, say, 1-to-1 or a little bit
Yep.
less than 1-to-1, that
Yep.
ought to do something for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had it here where I put a whole box of foundation on top of a nuke box, and I forgot that I didn't know it. My brother had a tote. It was one of them bags, that you put stuff in, and it was on a guy gave it to me, and it was sugar, and he was in the barn. We took it out of the barn. He stuck it behind the building where my hives are. Now, the ones that you can see behind me weren't there at the time, but it was sitting in near that junk pile. And, the hermit bees were having a feast on that. And I went in this one hive, and here's 5 frames, and they're drawing the wax out. I don't think the wall was no taller than 1/8 of an inch. And she's already laid an egg in there taller than the wall.
That's hilarious, isn't it?
And they're bringing the wax out, trying to get it up high
Yeah.
enough for the egg to be able to, to hatch and all.
Yeah.
And man, they were rocking and rolling on that year. So, I mean, your situation, I'd be putting some quart jars on there, let them draw wax out, put some Apis biologic in there along with it.
Watch you don't plug them out though. That's you're always
Yeah,
what you gotta
well, you
watch
wanna-
when you're feeding. That's all.
You just
it
want
bears to be
you
said.
just want a little bit, just a little bit on there.
Yeah.
You take a lid and poke, let's say 2-3 holes in it, just enough to keep them excited.
Here's somebody selling a 600-pound, 50-gallon stainless steel honey storage tank with 24-inch strainer screen and lid. $400. Date
Nice.
What kind of, what is it? A strainer? What?
a Date 50-gallon stainless steel honey storage tank. A honey tank.
Okay. How much? 400, you say?
$400. Maxant stainless steel uncapping table, including 2 baskets and 1 uncapping hot knife for $450. And a Date 12-frame stainless steel honey extractor with electric motor manufactured by Date, $800. So you can have all that for $1,650.
Sign me up. I'll take 3.
That doesn't look like a 50-gallon honey storage tank to me, but yeah, that's not 50 gallons. There's no way.
It's not water jacketed, right? Hey, Mike.
No, it's not water jacketed.
Hey, Mike. Good to see you, man.
Am I missing somebody? I didn't see any.
Yeah,
It's Minnesota, Mike.
Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Oh, I see pollen-bound hives every spring.
Brad, did you get that email, that last email I sent you?
I got 2 emails from you today.
Well, check there's a third one.
And pollen bound is just when they don't have enough.
You couldn't make it to the one meeting. You got invited for another one coming Tuesday.
Yeah, I got that one too. Sorry.
Okay. It's a link.
Yeah,
just click on the link. Now it's just a Zoom meeting. Figured, well, I'm sure you did that kind of meetings for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, pollen bound brood chamber for sure. That can happen.
And that's
Crazy bees.
That's when they just basically backfill everything with pollen, right? And they don't have any.
Yeah, betcha.
Usually, right when our flow starts, they'll pack it full of honey and pollen, and the queen just gets less and less space because as that brood hatches out, they're slamming.
Hence the drawn comb space.
Yeah,
somewhere to put all because you're going to stop them from bringing it in.
How many? When you did that, Bob?
That's
how
great.
many? Did you have a double deep? Were you running double deep?
No, that was when I started the single deep. That's when I did the demarray because they were doing that last year. Of course, I robbed them all, so didn't work as planned. But if I have to do that again this year, which I don't even know of any of my colonies right now that would benefit from doing that because they're just
I wouldn't do the demaree at all, but
they're not in that.
I would do the single brood chamber and then put the queen excluder on, put honey supers on top of that, and force them to put that stuff upstairs. And then I would do like Brad says, like Ian, skim them hives where you take maybe one brood frame out of each hive and then make up some splits that way. And then once you get those nukes going and maybe put a box on top of that, and then and they get good and strong, they take the top box off and split them nukes again, and then put more boxes on top with frames to get more wax. And
see Charlie, isn't that one of the kind of the key pieces of learning as a beekeeper is to be able to read that brood chamber. You can look in that brood chamber in I'm going to talk about my season. I can look in that brood chamber in May, and I can look in that brood chamber in September and maybe see pretty well exactly the same thing, but it means something completely different, and it means something completely different to me as a beekeeper. So that really just comes with time and looking in that brood chamber, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, come springtime, it's all about they want to build and build numbers and bees and all that stuff. And, that's when wax is being built the most proliferately. I mean, come September, you're not going to get them to draw wax hardly at all.
No.
And then, but in the spring, you can draw wax. In the spring, you can make the most easy split there is because the weather's getting right for warmth, and they are all in high gear mode to make bees. And
Yep.
you can
Yeah,
my
bees
use
are
that
plugging
time.
out the brood chamber in September. They're backfilling everything. They're just going crazy like that in September. And I look at that and I think, hey, that's a great thing. I look at that in May and I think, oh no, I'm going to lose my bees. Right.
That's right.
So,
And you kind of have to know the season, I guess you would call it.
Judge, like we're saying, oh yeah, feed them in the draw comb. Well, don't feed them too much. And then so right in the middle of that road right there, it just comes kind of with experience to be able to look in there and see, well, do they have enough space? Do they have too much space? Do they need more feed? Do they need less feed? And it just comes from looking in that brood chamber all the time. Like, get in there.
Well, it's just like I was talking, like this past year, I took notice of bee population in the I'm a single brood chamber, queen excluder, honey super. And I noticed the one hive that was going to make me a ton of honey, that honey super was 90% full of bees, and they were covering the tops of the frames. And that one made all kinds of honey because it had plenty of workforce. The next one next door to that, or down a couple of hives down, it had about half the amount of bees up in the super, and it made about a third less honey.
Mhm.
And then the one down there that it got to the point where it was a queen issue big time. There were bees in the super, but they were on the sides of the frames, on the wax, but they weren't in the top, covering the top of the frame as far as volume. And that was like, worst case scenario. I said, this is not going to, they might make 3 frames of nectar, and the rest of them are almost got a box full and all. And that's what I have observed last year. And I was like, okay, I'm putting that in the back of my mind. So I want to watch for that. And it gives me an idea where, what these hives are going to do for me. So that, and I think like we were talking Friday or whatever it was about being more on top of your age of your queens and stuff like that, trying to make sure that you only have a 2-year-old queen in there at the oldest, making sure you got a new queen in there and all that kind of thing.
Do any of you guys, once you get a queen that's kind of marginal and you don't think it's going to be a great producer through the spring? In here, Jamie. Do you guys ever just pull that queen out rather than just crush her, put him in a nuke, just use her for resource?
That's exactly what I do.
Thanks, Brad. That's been something that's been bothering me a long time. It's like, why waste that queen? It might not make it through the winter, but you can.
So my mentor does too. Throws her at her nuke, man.
Yeah, right on.
Resource, man.
Okay,
Yep.
that's great, guys. I got my photographer here.
I'll do some money.
Yeah,
He's gonna have to put the makeup on top of that head to keep the glare down for your photo.
Okay, Bobby.
I changed the light bulb over top of me, and I'm still getting a bright sunshine.
You know something? You got to use the right grade of beeswax polish.
Is that what it is?
Hey, I got to run, guys. God bless, and I'll talk to you later.
Be good, Mike.
All right,
Bye.
we'll see you.
Hey,
Yeah, that's one of the greatest things, I think. If you got equipment, and the problem is that can take a lot of equipment. But you see these right here. You can't see my finger, but
Yeah.
you see these right here.
Nukes.
A lot of those are exactly that. Those are resource nukes. Got an old queen. I raise a new queen. I go over into the main apiary there. I pull that old queen, and I replace her with the new one. And I don't even touch the queen. I don't like handling queens. I'm not good at it yet. So I just pull that frame that the queen is on with the bees and the brood that they've got, and I move them to another box, and I can put them right in the same apiary because they're all nurse bees. And I might give her another shake just to make sure. and
Right.
she'll lay brood all summer. I can keep pulling a frame or two of brood from now and again. I can make mating nukes out of that. I can
Resourcing her,
boost
huh?
Yeah, that's a
flagging
great.
colonies.
Yeah,
That's a
resource her.
really good strategy there.
Yeah, resource her out, man. Let her finish laying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
fun, man.
yeah.
Why not? Let her
I
lay
mean,
her
that's
life out. Yeah,
that's
let her.
that that
Absolutely.
now you went from going from a production honey queen, you might call her,
To a
to a
resource.
resource queen.
Charlie, that's what my mentor does. He doesn't kill his queens. He'll throw them into a nuke like
Yeah, but it's it's this is the kind of, I mean, it's, once you hear it, it's simple sounding, but it's like
everybody's
um,
here to try
What's
it.
the worst thing that happens? She
Yeah.
starts getting weak and they supersede her, and then you got a brand new queen in there.
Yeah, they kill her.
yeah, but it's I guess what I'm saying is
Cajun, you got to pimp her out. Put her to work. Get out on that corner and earn me some more bees, girl.
but this is another one of them techniques, or whatever you want to call it, or it's like, give me a procedure for this type of situation here, and I'm like, yeah, that's the way to go. That way you actually have insurance. If your new queen didn't quite work out and you don't have another one, then you can always put the other one back in.
Yeah,
Or
that's what Russell was saying. If the old queen fails in a nuke, you don't lose much, and it's a good chance they'll requeen her.
and then
You're out, man.
you're using her as a resource hive, and they're, maybe she keeps on laying and everything, and maybe and all that, and maybe you can sell her in the springtime.
Maybe when she's starts laying out for another whole year in that nuke and starts putting out queens.
You
Man.
get rid of her, and
What-
do a fresh queen.
Drone
What do
layers
you-
or swarm lure.
What do you guys feel about Bruce Jenny did it last year, where he bought a bunch of queen cells and just dropped queen cells in every colony. Didn't look for a queen, just put new queen cells in every single colony and let them hatch. And I guess they're survival of the fittest at that point. Some I guess the old queen would have won, some the new queen would have won, right? Or
That too.
Well, I would say they would tear that cell down if they have a good viable queen.
but
I
think-
would do what you did, Bob. I would shake all the bees in the bottom of the box, pull out the frames that you like, would be the brood frames.
Now you want those?
And-
I'm
and
sorry.
some brood and fruit, like you're making a regular nuke.
Okay.
3 brood frames, a food frame, a pollen frame, or maybe an open frame. Put that queen excluder on. Let them come up in 20 minutes. That's what I've had, and then put that queen cell in. That way, it's going to be a possibly a viable queen. They're not going to tear that cell down and you wasted your money.
a virgin will always kill an old queen. That's what Russell says. Brad, do you have any insight on that?
Whatever.
I
I think he had to go.
I
Brad's
don't know
in
how many always there are beekeeping. My camera seems to be having trouble. Well, yeah, I don't think mated queens often wage war, but virgins sure do. So,
So it's
my
usually the
mentor.
virgin queen going out and looking for the fight.
But then
Yeah.
you run a risk, right? So let's say the virgin that hatches out goes and kills your mated queen and then doesn't come back.
Yep.
Now you're
That's
queenless.
the risk. That's the risk.
So yeah, that's the
Sorry,
risk.
I was distracted here trying to fix my camera. I'm listening.
But
Okay. But no, that's a great thing, Brad, as far as, it's a technique that you can stick in your head and say, pull the old one out, put a new one in, put that
Oh,
old
yeah.
one in a nuke box and use her as a resource hive. She can keep on laying.
Hey, I'm
You
going.
can keep take brood out of it.
Yep.
Put it in other places that need to be where it needs to be.
I did a whole video on my channel last summer doing that, taking brood frames out of my resources and boosting some nukes that I had made that summer, making mating nukes, all that kind of stuff. It's just, I mean, it's amazing having all this.
Yeah, I mean,
brood to
like my
up and-
mating boxes, finding frames, put 2 frames. I always put a a frame of brood in there and some open stuff, maybe be pollen and some nectar.
I'll
And
usually end up at the end of the summer with way too much brood. I don't know what to do with it.
That's my question is do you ever run into the problem where, say, you take one of those queens out of the nuke, Brad, and she doesn't keep performing? Or you take one of those
Oh,
queens
yeah.
out and put her in the nuke? Okay.
Well, you got to remember there's a reason I'm taking her out.
Yeah.
she's old.
Maybe she's just too old and she's doing okay,
Mhm.
but maybe she's just not performing. So I'll
Okay.
take her out and replace her. I'll nuke her anyway. I'll give her a little while to kind of shape up. If she doesn't, then
Okay.
I'll just abandon her.
Hive tool test.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well,
they have to
now-
get really bad because they're not harming me at all. They're just sitting there.
Yeah.
They're not worrying me at all. Often I'll run them right into August before I give them the hive tool test.
All right. Well, with that procedure, Brad, if you pull the old queen out, do you let that hive, let's say, sit there queenless for 24 hours or a half a day or whatever, so many hours before you put that new queen in? Let her get her.
Well, it's
let's say the new. I presume you're going to put a virgin in.
hard for me to say what I will do, Charlie, because I've done so many different things with that over the years. And honestly,
What's your preferred method?
What's your preferred
well,
method, the most successful method?
I don't know yet. Honestly, I have in the past used that as part of my OTS strategy. So I'll take that queen out, and this is only if the queen is I just deem her as getting old, because she has to be performing well, and it has to be a strong colony to have OTS be successful. So then I'll just do an OTS notch and leave that colony to mate, and that usually
Now everybody
works
here
out
knows
pretty
what he's
good.
talking about, right?
No.
OTS, what that stands for?
Nope.
Well,
It's-
do we want to go through the whole thing, Charlie?
I have. Why
Everybody
not?
knows what a walk-away split
Why
is,
not?
right?
OTS, I can tell you right
Right.
now, it's called on the
On the
spot
spot.
Okay.
queen rearing.
Yeah. So basically,
And Mel, I can't even pronounce his last name.
no, Disselcone.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Disselcone, yeah.
He kind of developed that process. He wrote a book about it and stuff. And I actually had one of his printouts and stuff. Hey, Mark.
Basically, it's you take the old queen out. There's a little trick you can do, and basically they just create a queen. They make a new queen, and hopefully it'll mate. Because if it doesn't mate, then now you've got this big strong colony. It has no queen, so you have to have a strategy.
What you do
for
is you
that.
find eggs, guys. Take your hive tool.
Kill it.
You break the bottom cell wall down so they can make that cocoon. It draw the cocoon out to where it's hanging down like a normal queen cell, and you'll kind of give them the encouragement to make a queen cell there, but they will pick where they want to do it. That's what it amounts to, right, Brad? I think that's the best I can explain it.
That's a pretty good summary, yeah.
Yeah. Something that you all can take, this year, and another experiment, guys.
I'm down. I'm down to try anything new. I don't care. I'll try anything.
All you do is just take your hive tool and you go in there and you break the cell wall down on the bottom edge, so they can draw that cell out and down to make it, into the.
I've got a few videos on it on my channel.
Yeah.
They're not real concise or it's hard to demonstrate, I find, but I've got a few videos that I describe
Mark
it, I talk about it,
Yeah. Mark says he's done OTS lots in the past. I thought about doing it, but I just started grafting, and I find that to be a lot more fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna graft with my mentor this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I really
you'll love it.
Yeah, he's got some pretty cool stuff that he's made for grafting that I want to, show you guys. I just got to get him here at my house talking, man. That's the hard part. Because he does. He's all about grafting, and he wants a queen rear this year, and he's showing me all these really cool things that he's making for queen grafting this year. And theories that he's thought up of, and all kinds of just beekeeper stuff that I have no clue about still. he's telling me about grafting. I'm like, yeah, I'll just come over when you're doing it, and you just teach me how to do it, and we'll work together.
Right.
I'm all about it
So,
though.
I'll be back in a minute.
All right. Be
You're
careful.
running the show. How can you get up?
I know. You can't get up and leave the show.
Hopefully nothing goes wrong here.
How dare you?
I think my camera actually died. I don't think it's going to come back.
Oh, man.
You don't have a regular webcam there, Red?
Well, what do you mean? I got a regular webcam, but it died.
Oh, it just went out. Period. It just died.
Yeah. Well, it acted like somebody unplugged it, but I've tried and tried different things, and it's not coming back. It just went away.
That's no bueno.
So yeah. So anyway, I mean, I've tried that. I've used that, and that has worked pretty good. It didn't work well this year for some reason. I think it had a lot to do with the weather. But yeah, I do grafting too. So if I have a colony that's got an older queen and it's not really strong, then definitely I want to put a grafted queen in there. I generally don't put virgins or cells in colonies I want to requeen. I'd rather leave an old tired queen in there for the duration and put a mated queen who I know is laying well in there, because if I take a colony that's even so and I put a cell in, even if the cell emerges, is she going to mate?
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of percentages there.
Yeah.
And there could be 25% of the time that colony is going to, could time out on me.
Too many uncertainties, really, huh?
Yeah, because again, I'm not managing one, so it might be a while before I get back to it, and I may lose the timing on it. So I prefer to do things that I can more easily control the timing on, because I'm running, I could be running 150 colonies, and you kind of got to keep everything on an even keel to keep control. So I'll have a little mating yard, I'll call it.
Yeah.
With my mating nukes. And then I can tell who's mated and who's not, who's laying and who's not.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can take those, cage them, and introduce them elsewhere or whatever, just in a normal fashion.
Do you ever let your bees do their own queen rearing on occasion, or is that something you do full control?
They don't have time.
Well, they do, but not because I let them so much, just that they do it behind my back sometimes.
Oh.
You show up and you think this queen was marked. How come she's not marked anymore?
Then you start looking at the trees. Then you start checking the trees, and then no, they're good. Still here.
Well, of course you want to take care of swarming, but supersedures and whatnot are pretty normal.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that Ian's got really good at. He banks on that method, because his bees are really good at replacing their queens by themselves without, like, he doesn't replace queens. He doesn't requeen.
Really?
Yeah, no, he doesn't requeen at all. I mean, unless they happen to be working through something and say, oh, she's failing, then they'll, go get one of their nukes and drop it in place, kind of thing. But no, he doesn't track ages and stuff.
Imagine trying to track every age on the operation he has.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. No. Well, he has little cards, and he tracks when he does introduce a new queen.
Yeah.
But he'll have colonies that the age on that will be, 6 years old.
Yeah.
Well, darn well that's not the same queen.
Yeah.
So that thing has been taking care of itself for probably at least 2 queen replacements in 6 years. So that's pretty good.
Up in the whole mating nuke.
I think that's a trait to really look at and breed for, is colonies that take care of themselves that way.
I would love to have one colony like that just takes care of their own queens.
Yeah.
If I had one colony.
Mine take care of their own queens usually at the wrong time of the year.
Well, they do that for sure. And nothing is for certain. He loses colonies in the summer, and loses them in the fall, and loses them in the winter. But then he just has that great nuke program, and he just replaces the stock through his nuke program.
What you think about it? If you've got 20 nukes, like small scale. If you got 20 nukes, I mean, on any given day, you could go out there basically, if they've been running for a little while, and make up 4 or 5 new nukes just by taking a frame of brood from each one of them. So
That's exactly what you do. That's exactly what you do. Absolutely. Galloway, can you drop in a whole mating nuke into a queenless colony? I've been told you can. I don't have the guts to do that. I haven't really done that.
I have done it, but it was a weak colony, and the colony that I was putting them in didn't have they were queenless, right? So
Yeah.
I was putting in more bees than what was left from the other colony.
That's kind of the key. I have done your standard newspaper combines in those situations, which work out really well. They're not too much of a pain. So for now, I've done that. I did a whole lot of slow introduction through candy cages last summer, and man, a lot of those didn't work out. I lost a lot of queens, brand new queens. It was heartbreaking. Last summer was such a screwy year here.
I've had it both ways. I've had it where I put in a new queen, they've released her, and then killed her after she's laid a small cluster and let her and raise her own off of her larva. And then I've had where I've put a queen in and basically, let them have at the candy, and they never did eat all the way through the candy after a couple of weeks. And then it was like the queen isn't really that good anymore, being in the cage. So
yeah, Russell kind of agrees that he's dropped in a very strong nuke, and that's exactly what it is. I think is it's a game of percentages. Are you adding more bees than you're adding it to? Are there more bees loyal to the queen than there are not? That sort of thing.
Well, I did like this past fall. I had some queenless hives, basically at least 2 of them, maybe 3. And I had my nukes over there, and I, like you did, I papered them in. I put them right on top of the original ones, papered them in, and just did it that way. Shook everybody down the bottom, put the newspaper down, put the medium 10 frame on top, put the nuke in there.
Yeah.
And then walked away, and they'll beat through that paper in 24 hours, at least some of it.
Enough for them to start getting back and forth, right?
Yeah, nothing where they're going back and forth, and you go back a week later, and that pretty much the paper's all completely gone.
Oh yeah, and everybody's happy.
Everybody's
the only
happy.
problem I find with that method in my part of the world is sometimes I don't have warm enough weather to be adding that much space to one colony. Maybe my queenless colony isn't filling the box, and now I'm adding another box to the top of it. That's a bit much, but there's different ways around it.
Well, what I'm saying is they had a box of bees on the bottom.
Yeah,
they just and then I just put another 5 frames on top of them with the paper.
Yeah,
with empties on both sides.
Yeah,
and then they just all combined after that, and everything was fine.
And again, sometimes it comes down to equipment. I've got my nice little 4 frame wooden boxes. I've got my half size migratory covers, so I can just put that over newspaper onto a colony, that kind of thing. There's a lot of different ways to do it.
But it was pretty cool.
But if that's one thing that I can suggest everybody do is resource hives. It doesn't matter if you're taking out an old queen and replacing her, or if you're grafting a new queen and putting it into a hive off to the side. Have nukes sitting on the edge of your apiary, ready to move into service when you need. When you have an emergency, when you have a need in your colony, even if you have 1 colony or 2, when you have a need with that colony, you need to look within your own yard for your solution, not phoning the bee store or frantically trying to find somebody in the neighborhood that has a mated queen at the end of August that you can get. You need to have that because it's so easy. It's so easy to have that resource in your own yard.
Yeah, there's a guy up next, let's see, Delaware, I guess it is, not too far from here. And he, his philosophy is one nuke per, if you got 4 production hives, you need 4 nukes, 1 for 1. And
I
a lot
wouldn't disagree with that, especially on small scale.
small scale, and but trying to get
thing that happens, that nuke gets strong and you move her into a 10 frame. I mean, then you got another colony, and then you split her back to a nuke, right? Split back to the nuke if you got time.
Hey guys, studies to do, man. Been
All
great.
right.
Thank you, Bob.
all right, good to see you, buddy.
You too, man. Y'all be safe. Looking forward to the next one, man. Glad your all bees are doing okay.
Yep.
Man. Y'all stay
We're
safe.
not gonna stay too late tonight. So
Yeah, I got stuff. I'm taking medical ethics, man. I got books sitting here staring at me, medical law and ethics, saying, "Hey, you write a paper." Yeah. So.
I got work tomorrow. Got a cardiologist appointment at the VA.
Yeah, Bob, take care of your ticker. All right.
all right.
All right. See you guys. Good night, man.
All right.
See
See
you.
you, Rich.
Good night.
So
So, just but it's just thinking about, it's just like you were talking about pulling that queen out. And I'm thinking to myself, why sometimes why don't I think about those type of things, but it's just so easy after somebody says something like that it's like, what a great idea.
well, I did it last year with that hot hive, and everyone's like, "Oh, just kill the queen." I'm like, "No, I'm going to take her and put her in a nuke and demoralize her, and let this colony requeen themselves." And
Well, I had one that was a queen and she wasn't laying. I guess she ran out of sperm or something. And I'm like, I was going to hive toward, I give her a hive tool test. I'm like, no, I need to learn how to pick up queens. I said, I'm going to put you in a nuke and play with you about going in and picking her up off the frame all the time with my fingers. And, just learn to get the feel of it, and don't squeeze her too much and stuff like that. It worked. It was doing fine with it. And I guess it's a confidence builder type of thing.
I got all right with getting her right on the side like that.
Right.
Marker. I did it a few times and I was like, okay, I can do it. And then stop marking. So this year is going to be, if I see her, I'm going to mark her. So that's going to be
One-headed queen catcher, my friend. Changed my life.
I've got the yellow one you forbid me from using anymore.
Yeah,
the queen guillotine.
Yeah.
The queen guillotine.
I got what is it? Teal, the first one that they first come out with.
The Man Lake one.
Yeah, the one I got. That's what stopped me from marking them. Is I had one queen flew off in the trees, and then I had another queen that I got her marked, and everything was great. And then she walked down, and I started pulling it back, and she turned right around and got her head stuck right in that thing, and I chopped her head right off. So had a nice, pretty marked queen with no head. So
yeah, don't do that. That's
Silver. I practice with drones too, but
hey, Larry, I'm not sure what that is that I've got, but they were bringing in yellow and dark red pollen today. Actually, it was a light yellow, then there was a darker yellow, and then there was red.
I'll tell you something else that I went up to a guy up in next state above us there, and he was selling out a lot of extra equipment, and he had a queen muff for $5, and it was in very good shape. Wasn't, it's just a screen, where you put your queen, if you want to transfer them from a marking cage into a JZBZ cage or whatever. And that thing has saved me at least 3 or 4 times where that queen, got out of my fingers and she's inside that cage where I can scoop her up, and she can't get away.
I've had them take off, and last year I had one take off, and I grabbed her right out of the air.
Really?
She wasn't flying fast. I mean, she's fat and heavy, but she was.
Yeah,
flying.
they don't fly fast. I had that happen too. I lost one last summer. I caught her and then she got away. So I've always wondered if that muff would work, Charlie. That's.
I think really that was the best. That was the best $5 I ever bought.
$5.
And I just spent. I mean, I just I think they're like. I don't know. I think Man Lake or somebody has them for maybe 15, 20 bucks. But, you know, I go over there and normally I'll probably have her, let's say, in a queen clip, and I'll put the queen clip in with her, put let's say the the marker thing that you have that we both have, and I'll transfer in there in marker, bring that out, and then go ahead and marker. And then, it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm going to put her in a JZBZ cage,
$21.95 on Man Lake.
is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, but it has saved me at least 3 times, at least I can think of.
See, I tend to transfer them from my Man Lake queen catcher, my one-handed queen catcher unit, to a JZBZ cage. Like if I'm pulling queens
Hi,
out
Dennis.
of my mating nuke, and I want to, you know, slow introduce them somewhere else. And that's what was happening. That's what I was doing when this one flew away. So I think that queen muff would really help me in that way.
I was walking around the guy's barn. He had a bunch of old equipment, and I don't know, just a lot of old stuff. And there was a ton of people there looking at everything. And I went around to the other side, and like he had plastic bottles and stuff. I said, well, he didn't have the kind that I have. I really didn't need any. And I seen it laying there, and it was queen rare and stuff. And that's not really not everybody does it, you know. And I said, oh man, I'm grabbing that. I took that thing right away. And then I bought something else. It was a feeder. And then after you got it home, and it's like, oh, this is like first generation feeder, like what Man Lake had. And then the newer ones have where that screen comes down. There's like those little fingers of plastic to hold that in there.
Yeah.
That's the second generation. And I should have known that. So I still use it some, but you know, it works, but not as good as it should. So, but anyway,
Well, that sucks. No webcam.
You don't have webcam?
It's dead.
Unhook itself?
I got like 2 or 3 web meetings this week too, and I got no webcam now. It just died. It's gone.
Maybe if you restart your computer.
Well, I can try that.
And sometimes I don't know, I've had issues with StreamYard. Sometimes my mic and headset don't want to cooperate with each other.
You know what? If you guys promise to be here when I come back, I'll try that.
Yeah, we'll be here.
We'll be here.
Okay. It'll be a few minutes.
We got no life. We're here. We're here.
I need the hours.
I'm looking at frames still.
What frames?
Mm-hmm.
Have you called up Acorn or anybody? You're gonna get a direct price?
No, I'll call them tomorrow. I've been working with Peerco. I just I've been asking people for quotes on 300 frames, and you think they would be right back to you, but no, not the case. I guess I'll just have to go and order it. So they send me this and then see what I get. And then I need some foundation because I got some frames out there that need foundation, but I don't need hundreds.
Well, I mean, you need 300 or you need more than that, or is that a combination of?
Well, I'm thinking more of no, I need mediums. If I probably need 300 mediums, easy 300 mediums. Assuming that I'm going to use all those and get honey. You know what I'm saying? So it's maybe
like anything else. You need it. Wait, you can't wait until you need it. You need it in the wings.
That's right.
You need to, go over there and pull it out of the box and put it in. Because I've been buying Acorn for the last several years, and I bought, I don't know, 6 cases, I guess it was.
I just wish there was some place not all the way across the United States to get stuff that wasn't going to charge you an arm and a leg.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. It just
medium frames unassembled, 100 pack from Man Lake's $130. Then the foundation for said medium frames, I guess the right cell, right, would be their version. Case of 100 is it costs more for the foundation than it does for the frames.
why
Yep.
don't you go over there and call up
It always does.
why don't you call up what's his name over there?
Last year I got medium acorn frames for $1.45 a piece. You remember when I went and bought like all those cases, Charlie?
Hmm.
They were $1.45 a piece. This year
Now
they're $3 and something.
really?
Yep. So
Why don't you call up Octavia and see if he can't help you out?
hey man, how many frames you got down there? Well, they don't get. I mean, they are high. I find they're expensive. I mean,
Who?
yeah, Octavia and those guys, they're pretty expensive. I mean, even their prices on Queens went up this year. I mean, granted, it's $1. I mean, $1 is $1, but they're new.
Well, Chuck, he's a Man Lake dealer. He might, and since you're a queen buying, and say, hey, Octavia, can you give me, I don't know, plastic, wood, whatever.
And I don't mind buying it, right? But then it's like, if I'm gonna have to wax it, do I really want to get max wax? Or you know what I'm saying? What's the point? So
Well, I don't wax.
you don't wax in yours?
No.
Select size, case of 100. $189 for 100. So it's $1.90 a sheet for medium foundation. From them. But it might end up being $1.90 if I order it in bulk from California and have to get it shipped, right? It still might end up being $1.90 a sheet. Pretty sure I can get it for like 77 cents from Pureco. Oh, yeah, I just got that email right there.
What's that? What about Kodiak here? What's Lee saying?
Oh, he's saying send Kyle my address.
Oh, that's the guy that you guys have.
Yeah, from Highgate.
Right. Kenneth says, check out Hilco.
But yeah, I mean, it might be cheaper from Hilco. Hilco's all the way across the United States from me too. So I don't know. I mean, maybe the shipping is, I think he's got a shipping deal too, right? There we go. Let me see. Just answered that. I just got that email, matter of fact. Yeah, let's look at Hilco. Oh, man.
Now, Silver Girl, you say, yeah.
What do you say?
He's making me, I'm making him hungry. But he says I have to re-wax the foundation. Do you buy single wax, double wax, or triple wax? Hilco's free over $100, I guess, dollars.
So the Pureco plastic frames, he's got them for $3 and might as well say 50 cents, $3.49. Double wax. Premier Foundation double wax, $4.29.
That's just the foundation.
No, wood frame and foundation, $4.29.
Oh.
Unassembled frames, $2.09. Foundation double beeswax coated, $2.09. That's still pretty high. I've got cheap prices. I can get cheap prices, but then you got to figure what the shipping is going to be to get it to you, right? That's the thing. So let me see if I can find here in my email here. So frames or foundation. I'm probably going to end up just ordering it from Pureco. Probably. I can get.
What about Date Ant out of Florida, North Florida?
I haven't checked them. So I can get frames wholesale.
And what's it? What? There's another place in Florida. Somebody said it on the chat here.
Yeah, that's the. I did probably South Florida Bee Supply or either
there you go.
Royal Bee out of Tampa. Let me see. But they do everything pallet loads too. Foundation.
Let's see.
So foundation, medium foundation, 77 cents. Medium plastic foundation, 77 cents. 98 cents for double wax, $1.19 for triple wax. Let me see. What do we got for Pureco deep frames? $1.80 for or $1.84 for, it just says waxed. The single wax, $1.84 for deeps and $1.57 for medium. But the $1.57 medium, I believe, is double wax. Yeah, $1.80 for triple wax. So that's $700. If I get 300, that's 30 boxes, right? Plus what I already had, that should fill the rest of my supers out. Plus the shipping, whatever that is. Yeah, that's, that's what I think about the, I don't know.
Date Ant's got it here. Deep frames, they want for 10 packets. You might as well call it $5 a freaking frame. That's wooden frames with.
Mm-hmm. So if you need 300, that's $1,500, even if they're giving you premier, medium. Hope I'm I'm saying this based on Acorn. Okay, so the Acorn foundation is much thicker than the Premier foundation. From what I saw at Hive Life, the Premier foundation is very flexible, which is good as far as popping them in. It is bad for our South Carolina heat, as far as warping. Now, I don't know if they will warp. I've got that frame they gave me at Hive Life. That's the only Premier that I have. Yep, and Texas said that's why he switched. Blaine said that's why he switched too.
What's that?
To plastic frames because of the price. The price, a lot of people are against it, but I can be against a lot of things, but I don't find the wooden frames to be twice as good as the regular one with the foundation, right? And damn, I just unplugged my backup drive. I've got a 8 terabyte backup that I put in today, and started to move files over, and I'll probably unplug it again. But yeah, so I can get them cheap, but I don't know if they're gonna make me have to order a whole pallet. That's the issue. Or I mean, if between medium and deep, maybe I have to order. Maybe I got enough because, maybe but I know I need at least probably 300 mediums. Brad never came back.
He just left.
He might have. Yeah, he's restarting his computer. But that's the thing. So,
All right. Better be. They want a case of 52 is $3.94 per frame. $2.05 a box.
Larry said he just ordered 1,300 medium frames from Premier. That had to be expensive. that had to be expensive for 1,300 frames. What's Premier? Hopefully you called him and got a great price on them. Let's see. Shop now. Shop frames. Medium. Did you just get the frames or you got them with the foundation already in them? $4.30 a piece, roughly, for medium. Double wax. Single wax is $40. Hope, how long have you been running Premier? They're new, right? Like last year was the first year? Maybe I just need to call him and say, hey, man, I need this much. How much? What can you do for me?
Looking good.
Oh, you're back. See? Just had to refresh them.
I am back. Guess so.
You use Man Lake Right Cell Foundation, Brad?
Yes, I do.
You just getting no wax, single wax, double wax, triple wax?
I have no control over that. I buy what's in the bee store. It's waxed. I wouldn't say that it's double wax for sure, because there's not much wax on it, but there's enough for my bees to work with.
And you don't re-wax them?
Not as a rule. Generally I'll run them through the honey flow, and anything that doesn't get drawn completely out, I mean, if there's any spaces that still have foundation, then I'll re-wax those in the fall. Because sometimes, that sometimes when the bees go through the flow and they get to the end, they'll sometimes chew the wax off of that foundation to purpose somewhere else.
Right.
And so then the next season, they're not going to draw that corner or that space or that frame even. So I'll just roll some wax on there in the fall. I did like 500 frames this fall.
Yeah.
Well,
now I'm on Acorn site here, Bob. And then, all right, let's say deep frames, black. If you got one box of them, where's it at? It's $104 for standard wax. Extra heavy, which is triple wax, is $125. It's like $21, $22 difference for 104 versus almost 126.
So 126. Whoops, 126.
Like $22 more when they do heavy wax.
All right, so $2.40 a frame.
Not overly bad.
So that's
I wax frames out. I really put it on there. I'll put 50 cents worth of wax on a frame.
That's the thing is I need to order frames. There's no way around it. I've got to get them, right? But at the same time, it's it's always the money versus what you got to get type of thing. So I'm trying to balance that.
Preach it, brother.
Trying to balance that.
You want to see my frame bill in a year?
No, I just saw somebody said they ordered 1,300 frames from
Buy
Premier.
about 1,000 a year or so. You know, you selling 100 nukes, you got to buy 500 frames just to put those frames back again.
Right.
So I'm paying. I think 129 a frame and 185 a sheet. So I mean,
You got
things have gone
$3 right
way up.
there.
I mean, when I started, I was paying 92 cents a frame and maybe 110 a sheet.
Yeah,
So
it's up 30%.
it's thousands of dollars worth of frames, and then they expect me to put them together.
Right. That's the.
I mean, there's 8 cents worth of staples in a frame, the way I build them. So I mean, even that is not,
and the glue.
even not inconsequential. A pack of 100 that puts that up by $8.
So that's the dilemma that I'm running into. I've now, because of my website, I do get some wholesale opportunities, but when you're buying wholesale, you don't get free shipping. So, I mean, if you order enough to where you still end up saving over buying retail, then I guess it's a good thing. Like foundation, I can get medium foundation for 77 cents a sheet, which is not bad. But, how many cases do I have to order to get that? If I have to order a pallet of them, well, then that's, I got to get that pallet shipped from California to South Carolina. And then maybe it's not such a good deal anymore.
Well,
So,
I don't even do that. I mean, I may buy 1,000 sheets at a time or 1,000 frames, but that doesn't change the price. That's small potatoes.
right.
I think my largest order that I placed a few years ago was probably about 3,000 frames and sheets at one time. That was a big bill.
Yeah. I'm going to have to finance the house to buy frames for my bees.
Yeah. Well, that's worthwhile, right? If it's for the bees.
Yeah. But, and last year I bought everything they had in the warehouse. I mean, I literally bought them out, and they didn't have enough for me to fill up all the boxes that I bought. And now I'm sitting here having to buy them this year, and it's doubled in price since last year. So that might be that. I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet.
Russell asked, how many frames is my wife making this year? She's made, I don't know. How many did you make so far? A few hundred so far. I want to say 300 or 400 so far. I think she's got about 300 to go in the stack before we run out, but I've ordered 600 more, I think, so I should be getting those in a couple of months.
And that's the other thing. I can order frames from Man Lake, like you said, $1.29, $1.39, depending on the size, and then get the foundation out of California. Then maybe that's the better route to go. And
I just drive down the road.
Yeah. Well, see, the problem is the store right down the road from me is mad at me, kind of, sort of. Yeah, they are, because of my swarm lure. So, I could still go there. He'd still take my money, don't get me wrong. But, I doubt there'll be any special deals coming my way out of there.
Peter Gunn is asking what kind of plywood I use for the bottoms of my two-way pallets. It's just standard. What do they call it? I don't know if they call it utility, but it's standard exterior grade 3/4 inch plywood. In my part of the world, well, I think in America too, it'd be called grade SPF, which is spruce pine fir. It could be the composition. Usually in Canada, it's going to be spruce. sometimes fir, not very often pine. The key is it's got a waterproof bond, so the glue in it is waterproof, and it's actually dimensionally 3/4 inch thick. It's not real fine surface plywood. Actually, the last lift I got was actually really nice. I could have made kitchen cabinets out of it, but generally it can be a little bit rough. So that's what I use. I'll
Well,
buy
that
a lift or lift and a half of that every year.
that what do you call it? That stuff that Bob Benning uses. Is that
MDO.
MDO? Is that better, or I mean, it's supposed to, he
Well,
says
it's
it's better.
nice stuff. It's 3 times the price.
3 times the price. Is it 3 times the weight too?
I don't know. I don't use it.
Well,
It's
it
really
used to be
nice.
everybody was talking about that stuff that had the wax or something impregnated into the plywood.
Yeah,
I know.
cheese boards.
I don't know. No, it was Barnyard Beeves was talking about this such and such a
Okay.
plywood all the time, and
Yeah.
they've used it. And now their darn stuff is you get about 3 or 4 years out of it, and then it just falls apart.
Separating. Well, that's the glue, right? And
Yeah.
by the time I'm done, mine's got full of wax anyway because it gets wax dipped when it's all done.
Mm-hmm.
MDO, medium density overlay, the overlay part, like it's a plywood substrate, and then it's got kind of a, you can think of it as, a masonite is. It's kind of a paper
Mhm.
sawdust glue product,
Right.
and then it's got a covering on it that's nice and flat and smooth and slick. So it's a very nice, consistent product on the surface, but it's got that underlay of some kind of a, I don't know what to call it. It's kind of sawdust and glue under that surface, which makes a beautifully dimensionally perfect, flat, stable kind of product. And Bob paints them really, really well, and I think he's good to do that because my impression is that if you're going to have any trouble, it'll be moisture infiltration to that. I can't speak to that. Bob would be able to speak better to that because I have not used it. No fill. It's similar to MDF, but it's not. It's actually plywood, but it's got kind of an MDF type of product on the surface that then is covered with an outer skin of some kind. I don't really know it very well, but I know kind of those products. No, not melamine. Melamine, wow, that would be really great. I was building some kitchen cabinets. I hate melamine, like the sawdust and glue plywood melamine stuff. And so what I did was I ordered from my lumberyard. I ordered some plywood melamine, and it is gorgeous stuff. It's a beautiful 3/4 inch plywood, and it's a melamine surface on each side. Gorgeous stuff because melamine is very hard and durable and slick. So that's really nice, and it worked very well for the kitchen cabinets. But it cost me about $100 a sheet. So, there's that. Melamine is, yeah. Don't get melamine wet, and sometimes you drive a screw in it and it just crumbles. Yeah, I hate melamine.
Well, I think I found my solution. It's not going to be much cheaper, but I can buy assembled wooden frames with foundation from Peerco for $2.80 a piece. But I got
that's half of what they're worth.
Order 500 of them, right? So if I break it up, they'll let me break it up in deeps and mediums. Then I can order 300 mediums, 200 deeps, and Bob's your uncle, as Brad says.
Bob's your uncle.
So
what is it? Is that plastic and wood or what?
It's wood frames with plastic foundations for $2.80. Or, I mean, I can get them cheaper if I go straight plastic like I've been going.
With no wax?
No,
Or
double
frame?
wax on the mediums and single wax on the deeps, but I can re-wax the deeps.
Lee, is that what you're talking about? The MDO that has a resin surface uh, on a plywood core? Is that what you're saying?
Is that what you're looking at? Resin.
Yeah, that would hold up well. People talk about a Vantech, and yeah, that's pretty.
What I was
pretty
talking
great
about. They
stuff over regular OSB. I know Cayman did a thing on it. He made a bunch of lids and whatnot out of a Vantech. He did say that, after a while it starts to swell on the surface and come apart. So, for me, I don't think a Vantech would be the product for my
my
equipment.
brother used it in one of his house that he built, and it's like super heavy. Really, really heavy.
Yeah. And I think that's the whole idea, because you know what happens, right? You frame a house, put all the floors in, and then it rains for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And all your OSB floors buckle up and swell and everything. So I think that's where a Vantech shines, but that's kind of a
Short-lived
short-lived
thing.
scenario. I don't think it's really the thing to use in something that's going to be in the elements regularly.
Right.
Take
Exactly.
that jar out, Bob. Which jar? So take that jar out, Bob. I don't know.
Where's that
Yeah,
at?
Russ, apparently Fanny's your aunt. You've been listening to Richard say that. I didn't realize that, but he says Bob's your uncle and Fanny's your aunt. So,
And I heard every Canadian YouTuber that I've heard says it's a gong show.
it's a gong show. Yeah.
I remember the gong show, but that's not a common term down here.
Oh, yeah.
But
In what respect? I mean, because it's funny or what?
No, some might say it's a shit show.
yeah,
No.
It's a
Hopefully
gong
not
show.
mine.
Well, if things are completely out of hand in your apiary, it's total gong show.
Oh, okay.
That's the usage.
52 tin cases. I can get the Pierco plastic frames for $1.84.
Welcome to Shopping with Bob.
Exactly. So
The shopping channel. Let's turn Sawmill Charlie's Bee Farm and shopping channel.
we just have his prices streaming across the bottom like the stock.
And then I guess I'll have to get that. What was it? They had the shopping channel, where they hit. You want a toot?
Yep. The little counter on the screen where you've got 10 minutes and it put on my radio voice.
Yeah. Oh, that kind of
double wax, $1.57. Single wax, it's medium. Yep. So I don't know. Gosh, decisions. Yep. Right now, Pierco's the winner because of the wholesale pricing. But
so, Charlie, I was going to say that I ran a situation. We were talking about those resource nukes and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it ran into a situation last summer. It's literally, it causes me problems at the end of the season to get rid of all the brood. You don't want to throw brood in the garbage. You want to put it somewhere and let it be a benefit, right? But
right.
That's why I ended up with 3 doubles last summer, because I just had too much brood. And by the time the brood was emerged, it was too late in the season to take these hives apart. So I just had to feed them up as doubles for the winter, and that's one of the problems. I didn't start early enough. I need to start by the end of the first week in August to distribute that brood around my apiary so that it has 3 weeks to emerge before I push everything down into singles early September.
Okay.
If I don't do that, then I'm going to be in trouble.
No, but I just didn't think about that where I could. It's kind of like that idea with like you saying, taking that old queen out and put it in another box. It's like a safety net there.
Absolutely.
where
I mean,
at
Pro
least
Nukes can do
at
that
least
for
it
you.
makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And put the new queen in, virgin, whatever, and if she takes off, I'm sure she will. And it works out great, that way and all. But so
Couple
Ian doesn't
questions.
really, huh?
Hmm?
I say you
Oh,
were
no,
saying
sorry.
Ian doesn't really mark his queen. Well, he does mark some when he sees them, I think. And
No, he
then
doesn't mark queens.
no,
Never,
never.
never, never. No.
But he does have that pin method, and that there's a little sticker on these boxes and stuff.
Yeah. See,
You know,
if I hate speaking for him, but you see what he does kind of in the spring is he does multiple assessments in the spring over time, and he'll assess all of his hives, and mark. He'll mark kind of an arbitrary, almost just a subjective mark to say, this one's good and this one is sucky, and then over a period of time, maybe 3 weeks to a month, and then he'll go through everything again, and he can look at that mark and he can say, well, this one sucked a month ago, but it looked pretty good now. Or he can say, well, this one is marked good and it sucks, there's a problem. Or this one sucked a month ago and it still sucks, there's a problem. Right?
I've seen that video where he's going through
Yeah.
like that. But I think what it is not, you're not really speaking for him. You actually you're kind of clarifying his technique.
Paraphrasing.
Well, no,
well, I'm really describing what I do.
For me, you're making it more clearer for me to understand how it's, his train of thought or
Yeah.
how he's evaluating these boxes of hives.
I do kind of the same thing. And I have a marker. I don't know if you ever seen my videos. I have that white. It's a paint. It looks like a big piece of chalk, but it's
Right.
actually a solid piece of paint, which is weird, but it is. And so
Hey,
I
it's
have
a paint
that.
stick. Is that
It's
a paint stick?
It's a mark all paint stick.
I got one of them.
That's exactly what it is. We use it for lumber probably.
Yeah.
And I use a white
It's
one.
real. It's kind of sort of a tacky. I
Yep.
got orange. We buy them paint sticks for orange.
Yep.
Because if I use the crayon will wear off in the weather.
Right.
And that
and
paint
the
stick,
paint stick
we
doesn't,
buy
'cause it's
the
literally
orange
paint.
ones. Yeah, we buy the orange ones and we mark our piles and date them and stuff, and
Exactly.
it'll last.
Yeah. So what I do is when I do my first assessment in the spring, I'll bring my bees out, and within a couple of days, I'm assessing. So I just put strokes on my lid, and I'll put 1, 2, or 3, and sometimes 4 strokes. Okay. 1 means I'm probably not going to make it. 2 might be okay. 3 is fine. 3 is kind of average. 4 extra special. So it's completely arbitrary. Not arbitrary. It's completely subjective on my impression of that colony at that time. So then I can come back in a few weeks or a month, and then I open up a 4 and I look in it and I say, this is a 2. There's a problem, right? Or something like that. So it's very much the same kind of thing.
Now, does that stuff? Let's say you want to wipe the slate clean.
Yeah.
Does it easy to get rid of it or
it
not?
sticks around. If there's any wax coating still on my equipment, it'll scrape off, but I just scrape it off with my Hive tool. Usually I can get it scraped off enough that I can do another mark. I write my queen age and stuff on the lid with it too, and it does stick around a long time, but sometimes I have to refresh it. There's a couple of questions there, Charlie. Maybe we should go back to. I'll scroll up here.
Let's see.
Let me scroll up. There was one. Somebody said, "Let's talk about queen timing." M&J Habitat was saying that. Yeah, 904. Can we talk queen timing? I'm not really sure what they mean. Can we talk queen timing? So maybe they can clarify that. You graft. Okay, Russell's saying you graft the larva on the first day. Yeah, you want to graft larva that has not been hatched from egg state more than, I think they say 24 to 36 hours, don't they, Charlie? You know, if you can get them 24 hours, I think that's what you want.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the question. Yeah,
So,
I mean,
and
when I graft, I go in and it's jelly. I'm looking just for jelly and I
yeah,
can't see anything.
right.
And that's going to be, it's like 3.5 days is when the egg hatches. And if you can get it in the sweet spot of about 12 hours after it hatches,
Yep.
that's about as good as you're going to get it. But for our level of grafting, there's really no way of actually knowing exactly how many hours that is unless you use a timing box. And
Even then,
it's sort of a guesswork type of thing.
comma shape, there's a comment, look for comma shape. Kind of not. Once they start, I think Randy called that second instar. Once they start curling, that's getting into a little bit too old. They're more straight. They're kind of more like a parentheses. They're not very curled at all. And like Charlie says, look for jelly that apparently has nothing in it, because they don't put jelly in a cell with an egg.
Hey,
If
Jason.
there's jelly, there's a larva. If you can't see the larva, it's perfect.
That's right.
Unfortunately.
And then they all talk about, oh, you got to look for the C. And I'm like, I asked Kent Williams about that when he was teaching me grafting. And Kent says, look, he says it's alive. He said that thing moves. It could be any shape. It could be straight. It could be slightly bent. Most of the time, you're going to go and see them. They're going to be like more of a comma than they are a C. It's sort of like a kind of a wide look. I guess that's like something like that. And but the main thing is going in your hives. You pull a frame up and you see all this nice jelly in there, and you look with if you wear glasses like I do, you're looking at it and I'm like, I don't see anything but jelly. It's there because bees don't put jelly in a cell unless there's a larvae in there.
Right.
And when you can't see it, that's the right age. When you put your magnification unit on, then you can see it and then you can graft it. And the more jelly, the easier it is. And that's another tool or indication in your hive. If you're going through your hives, not so much for just grafting, if you go in there, you don't see much nectar, very little to none. That hive, I call that's a dry hive. That hive needs nectar. It's in the dirt,
Right.
Especially in the dearth time. You need to be feeding that hive.
Feed it.
Another thing is, if you see a little bit of jelly in there, but it's not like if it's a big fat larvae that you can see, and it's not just swimming in jelly, that hive needs to be fed because it doesn't have the resources to create that big pool of jelly. And that's another visual trigger to tell you, I need to feed this hive nectar of, sugar water, basically. And depending on, you're going to see this in my area. July and August is the dearth period. And that's when you're probably going to need to feed. You put a quart jar on there or something like that to kind of get them over the hump. And then, like for me in my area, September is when the goldenrod starts to come in. That's when the pollen's going to start to come in. That's when a little bit better nectar sources are starting to come in. As far as a honey crop in the fall, for me, it ain't going to happen here. Now last year was a little different. We had this spotted lanternfly, which not everybody has, and they secrete a honeydew that the bees love, and they turn it into their little honey, which was fine with me. I didn't have to feed. But those are some of the key visual triggers or red flags that you should look for. What don't you see in the hive is what you should be asking yourself.
Yeah.
Do I
It's a
see
good thing to get
pollen?
very familiar with normal, because you will see not normal pretty easily once you
Right.
know what normal looks
Do I
like.
see nectar?
Um,
Not just honey,
yeah.
but nectar.
Yeah.
Do I see
Yeah.
pollen? If I have a brood pattern here in the middle of a brood frame, and then I've got the rainbow pattern of, let's say, some nectar and pollen. Nectar usually is up in the corners, and then you have a rainbow pattern of pollen. That's the nurse's bee's pantry to feed those larvae, and they're going to eat that up and turn it into jelly and feed the larvae. And then they'll swim in that. And then after a while, they'll cap, after so many days. And then you have a big, nice, brood pattern. But if you don't see the nectar, you keep going through frames and you don't see honey, and you might have a little teeny bit of honey, but you don't see the nectar glistening in the frames. And you don't see a frame in there that's got, let's say it's a deep frame and 2/3 of it's just full of nectar. You don't see any of that. Or maybe it's just a little bit of a bandwidth on top. You got an issue there. That's something that you should pick up on. What don't you see in the hive? And I've asked people
There's
that.
a couple of things here. If it's okay, I'll jump on.
Yeah, go ahead. I can't.
DC
Hard to catch
DC
up
was
all.
asking if it's day 3 or 4, and I would say yes, day 4. Not beyond day 4. The egg will hatch on day 3. So you want to catch it shortly after that, within 24 hours. Grammy's looking for a nail gun. If this is for building frames, when I build frames, I highly recommend what's called a narrow crown staple, and get one that'll accept 1.5 inch and a quarter at least, long narrow crown staples.
I would go with the 1.5 inch. I think I've had them at 1.25 inch and they'll pull out.
My narrow crown that I happen to have before I was even a beekeeper will accept 1.25 inch max. So I use that, but I do use 1.5 inch medium crown staple in the top bar. But if you had 1.5 inch narrow crown staple, fire 2 of those into a top bar and you're good. I highly recommend staples over nails for that kind of thing.
Yeah, now Keith down here at the bottom said this spotted lanternfly honey tastes like smoke. Yeah, it has a unique aftertaste. I won't say I left the honey that was in my hive this in August actually. I left it in the hive. That was their food. I did not harvest it. That helped me out as far as putting more sugar. Some people said, okay, I just left it in there and I didn't have to feed. Well, that's not the way I do. I left it in there and I still fed my sugar water, and I bought 1,500 pounds of sugar and I had 250 pounds left over. And I still got those 5 bags of sugar left over. So they took it all and all. And then Jason, makes a glue staple, heats around the staple, and then when you're punching it through, that's
that kind of thing is great. I've got quite a few videos on how I build frames, if anybody's interested. I'm not the authority, but if you want to see it, I mean, I've built probably 10,000 or more frames, and they don't regularly come apart. So I guess there's that.
DC says let me put that up. It says keepers use the moon cycles that they say bees make more roll jelly. Well, I don't know about that at all.
Okay.
Now what I do is, let's say I know I'm going to graft on a Wednesday. I will go in there on a Monday or a Tuesday or both days, and I'll kind of go through my hives. Or maybe I am going through my hives a couple of days ahead of time, let's say on the weekend, and I'll find some frames in there that I won't say they're right at the jelly stage like I like, but they're going to get, by the time I want them, they will be. Well, on the back of my hive, I'll take a little black Sharpie marker, and let's say it's in the top box and it's in position number 2 from your right side of when you're standing behind the box, I will take and put a little X right there, just a little teeny, just to mark it. And that way that saves me time. Now, where's that frame at? You know, you're sitting, you know, I can't remember exactly what hive I was in. Oh, I'll put either a dot there, a little X there, or whatever. What do you got? A cheese sandwich there?
Like
No, man.
thumbtack or something.
Huh?
I got the
Is that eggs?
eggs and bacon and cheese and
Well, where's
toast.
mine at? A bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich with American
Right there,
cheese.
Charlie.
Oh, right there. Oh, all right.
That's the benefit of having chickens. You can afford to have eggs.
Oh, yeah.
I think Jason wants me to come down and build his frames. I build frames all day long, Jason. If you would build the boxes, that's the one thing I hate doing is building boxes. Partly because it doesn't pay, but you know, I build frames. I don't mind building frames. I built thousands and thousands of frames. It's 30 below outside. I'd rather be building frames than be outside doing anything.
But so I put that little X behind there, and then when I get ready to go, I'll inspect those highs. It saves me time, and hopefully that frame has matured at the right point in time that I need it to graft from. And that's what I do. That's how I kind of save some time doing it that way. And all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all timing, and you can get far more complicated from there. But you know, if you're doing small numbers of queens, no sense in getting too complicated. I can go to a hive and pull out a frame that has appropriately aged larvae in it. It just take us a few minutes to find one and graft, you know, 30 cups off of that pretty easily.
Yeah.
It's surprising how many there are actually.
I don't know. Sometimes you can go out there and pull up a frame like, oh man, this is beautiful. I could graft 100 cells out of this thing.
Yeah.
And then the next time, and of course, as farther along you get down towards July for me, the harder it is to find because she's slowing down.
Yeah.
And or you get out there and you just don't have the right age category at that point in time. And but like I say, I've had a mare where the darn whole frame is completely full of like, man, I hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
And all that. So
Silver Grill, I glue the crap out of everything. Yeah, I glue the crap out of everything too. Sometimes I regret it, but you know. TB3 waterproof glue. Jason and I should get together. He likes building boxes. Good complimentary builders.
So Jason, are you making your own boxes since you have a box joint machine, or are you buying the boxes because you found out it's cheaper? We were over at his house here back last summer. He showed us he had a machine there that would actually cut the finger joints. You just put the board in and then raise it up and down, and it that's
really neat.
Bit of both.
You know what? Here I can't buy lumber as cheap as I can buy boxes already made.
Yeah,
as simple as that. I can't.
Right.
So
I mean, people like for me, I'm in the lumber business, and people.
Yeah, exactly.
I got these. It's called barn siding. It's number 2 pine. It's rough on one side, and it's planed on one face and 2 edges. I buy it by the truckloads, and it comes out of Vermont, I believe, and or New Hampshire, one way up north. And people say, you know, you don't saw that and dry it and do this and do that. I said, I couldn't sell it for what I sell it. I can buy it cheaper than I can make it. You know, it's already dry, ready, processed, and everything.
Yeah.
The only thing I do to it is here lately, had one guy, he wanted to make interior siding with tongue and groove with a V groove, and I'll put that on the edges, run it through the machine, do that. And he didn't like the rough face. I said, that's fine. I'll run it across it's 13/16. So I just take a 16th off and it's smooth, and he was fine with it. And I got some more of that to do this week. I don't have to tongue and groove it. I just got a straight line rip it.
We've made tens of thousands of lineal feet of that stuff back in the 70s.
Yeah, I got had one. We do a lot of. I planed and built every box and cost the lumber, and I can buy the boxes.
And
Then
that's the thing,
assemble
you got to watch all that, don't you? You've got to watch all that. If you just go down the street and every day you go and buy lumber, and you buy lumber and you work like a fool all day long, and you buy lumber and you work like a fool, and then you realize all this time you could have had somebody else working like a fool and had more money in the bank. You just got to watch the prices.
Yeah, I mean that's what I've found. It's like I was going to tell you. I don't know. There's just so many things out there. Like they'll come in here for, oh, want me to make flooring and all that kind of stuff. I said, go over to Baltimore Flooring. It's a company that buys it from a mill. That's all they do all day long is make flooring. And I said, you can buy it for $3 a square foot. I said, if you, it's like I had this, we'll saw the log for the person, dry it, and process it into, let's say, flooring, which I just got done with some cherry. And he's going to have $12 a square foot by the time he gets done laying it and sanding it and all that. And I said, you could have bought the darn stuff. Anything is his log, if it's 8 foot long, he's going to actually have a board that's 8 feet long, you know, instead of 2 foot sticks. And all that, 1360. That depends on whether it's a Class A clear board or just what. You got your time involved. You got to count that into it. And if you're a production style, whether you're doing anything.
Exactly.
People ask me, don't I? Yeah, people ask me all the time about me. You know, my hobby would be woodworking. I'm like, look, I mess with a saw and all day long. And whether it be selling regular lumber or at the mill or whatever, I said, I don't want to even hear a saw come the weekend. And I watched you in some of your videos. You were talking about the walnut. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I see that. I got a bunch of it in the back. It's like, okay, what? It's like, yeah, it's a board. That's my attitude. That's just a board.
That's the thing up here. It's so like there's nothing like that around here. So it's terribly expensive lumber for here.
Yeah, well, walnut's running right around $10, $12 a foot now.
Yeah.
Cases. That's why you're called Sawmill. Yeah, I know.
Somebody commented to me the other and referenced you, and he called you Sawhorse Charlie. I thought that was awful funny.
We had the one guy. What was the guy from over north? Phil. He called me Chainsaw Charlie. I said, "Don't start Charlie. That." Yeah. I said, "Don't start." But
Blaine said he's 1360 to build a box from 1 by 12 by 8. He bought it at the big box store. He says, but if you know how to resaw a 2 by 12 by 8, it drops the box to $4 a box.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, they come to me and they want me to resaw all the time. I says, you know what? That's a specialized saw that I don't have.
What are you going to resaw with at home? You need a $2,000 bandsaw to resaw 2 by 8, 2-inch planks at home.
Yeah.
What's your box worth then? In 1360, I mean, that's today, but when I started beekeeping, I built my first boxes just like everybody does. I built all my first boxes. And then I realized that I could buy box parts at my box builder down the highway for $10.50 a piece. And I thought, what in the world am I doing? I can't buy the lumber for that kind of money, and I can buy the parts to build it myself. So I built my next 100 boxes that way, and I realized how much I hate building boxes, and then I just go and buy them now. Spend my time building bottoms and tops.
Yep. And then I used to watch the Fat Bee Man down and you got to get yourself a wood miser band mill, and I'm like, are you crazy?
It only cost you $5,000 for a
the darn thing
to save $10 on a box.
It's like I see different. I had a guy call. See, what was it? He called in here. He had an LT40 Wood Miser band mill. Now that's 40. I said, "What'd you pay? 50,000 for it?" And I mean, they're expensive. And now he said, "I bought it used. Somebody else took the hit. He bought it used, did whatever he wanted to do with it. Now he's trying to sell it for like 25 or 30,000." I said, "Good luck." And I'm like, he'll probably, I said, "Put it out on Marketplace." I said, "You'll sell it, you know." And I presumably it was I'm sure it was a portable job where it had wheels. And I'm like, you know, I don't know. There was one guy I was watching there. He was down in Tennessee and he was sawing, and look at this log here and the crotch and whatever. And I'm like, "Yeah, so what? I see it every day." You know, I said, you know, and I just, he was, you know, pushing water across it and all that stuff. And, you know, it's just like us. We dry our lumber. And people say, "Well, why is yours so flat and this and that?" And I says, "Look," I said, "when you're sawing a log, that whole log is not premium grade lumber, meaning no knots.
Right.
I might have a tree there that might yield one board like that, and the rest of it's low grade. Or you might go through one, you might get one log out of 10, depending what type of tree it is, that is grade lumber. And that might yield one board. It might yield 90% of the log. You never get 100% because you box the heart when you're sawing. Stay away from the heart. That's where all the knots are."
And that's the value of an experienced sawyer, is to look at that log, see where that premium planker board is, and cut around it. You know,
Right,
make a
you
bunch
know.
of utility to get at the one that you really want.
Right. And then you
It's
have
not
to
just
keep
slicing trees. It's
no,
not
you
just
keep
slicing trees.
turning that log and turning it, because you got to cut the spring out of it, because it will. You can have a piece
Oh,
of
yeah.
wood. Let's say it's 8 inches thick, and it could be 24 inches wide out of the tree, and the heart's in the middle. And you'll slice off this side, a couple boards, 3 boards. If you unrelease it from the carriage and only spike the 2 ends, that center will jump out 2 inches from the head blocks.
Yep. Yep.
And then you got to turn that thing over and then slice that straight again. And what you do is you keep turning it back and forwards, equalizing the tension of the fibers in the tree in order to keep that board flat. And then that's when when you don't have all them knots, that's when you can put it in the kiln and it stays flat. But that was another thing that I explained to people. I said it takes a year to get that board from the sawmill to the shelf, because you got to air dry it for 6 months.
Yep.
And then you got to cook it for at least 2 months, depending on what species it is. And
my dad's first job sawyer was, he was 17 years old. He put him up on the sawmill and said, "Go to work." So he started learning way back then, and that's exactly the kind of thing that he would explain and that he would be able to see in a log.
yeah.
Packing up a shipment. Sorry.
I was wondering what Jason was talking about. This is a particular species.
He's talking about me. Donning the coat of red, devouring his food. I was eating in my own.
I left my camera off while I ate. My wife made fresh bread, so you know.
Well, shipment going out, so that's done. So I'll go put that in with the other one. Yeah, so I haven't been speaking much. I've been listening.
Yeah.
That's why God gave me 2 ears and only one mouth tonight.
I always say that. 2 ears and one mouth. It means you should listen twice as much as you talk. I should listen to my own advice.
Yeah, usually I'm the one that's running my mouth the whole time, but you guys have I think I'm on the going in the right direction now with the spring prep, and probably waited a little too long actually to start doing it. So now I'm kind of at the rush, right? But now I know how many drawn combs I have, how many frames I've got, how many boxes I've got to work with. So
You're getting organized, and that's the big thing. It's just like myself. I mean, in the fall, I go out there to my yard, and behind me there, and behind me next to where that old truck body is, that's where I put my mating boxes and stuff, and all that. I gather all that stuff up, put it inside the my shed, and pack it away in a certain stack, and then along with my top hive feeders and different, I have medium nuke boxes and deep nuke boxes, and got all that separated stuff. My comb's usually in a freezer someplace. As far as some of my honeycomb, now it doesn't really matter. Some of it's in my storage shed, and which doesn't matter because it's cold. But like you say, you get organized. You know what you got. As far as frames, you know how many cases of empties you got. As far as frames go, and kind of prepares. Like I went downstairs today. I've had bought 20 honey supers from last year, and actually I used 10 of them. I used half of them, and the other half I just finally got. I got a couple coats of paint on them right now, and I think 4 lids I got to paint. I got one of them painted, 1 or 2 of them painted. I got couple more I got to paint for the first time, and then the other ones I got multiple coats to put on. And in the boxes, I think I got 2 coats, but I'm looking at them. I'm like, I might throw a 3rd coat on them. And if I had a wax dipping guy like Brad has close by, I'd be doing that. But that's kind of a rarity thing around here to find somebody that does that.
Maybe you need to see that guy.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe I ought to be that guy.
Be that guy.
Well,
yeah, it's not rocket science.
$2 a box to dip them, and you charge people $5 a box.
Nah, you charge about $5 a box, I think.
Yeah,
the only problem with that is that's a very long day. You got to, it's about like working an old steam engine. You got to get out there at 2 or 3 o'clock, or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, turn the fire on, and get it hot so they make it in there by 7 o'clock in the morning for the early bird guys.
I got to line up so that you can get a week's worth of work. So you warm that thing up one day and you keep it going.
And you got to, you cook them. I mean, I don't know much about it, but I think it's like 10 minutes per load, I guess you would say. And
my
you got to watch.
box guy doesn't boil that long. It's I don't know, it's 3 minutes or something.
Oh yeah.
And he'll dip, like he'll boil it 3 minutes, take it out, let it sit for a while. I don't know how long, maybe 5 minutes, and then just do a dunk, and the dunk just puts a surface coat of wax on it.
Right.
But the surface coat is aesthetic. It really doesn't do a lot for you. It's the boiling part that
the boiling.
You're
boiling the moisture out and letting the wax infiltrate the cells.
Exactly. And so that's really what does it for you. So, if I was doing my own equipment, I don't think I'd dunk it the second time. You save a lot of wax because that wax is kind of, almost wasted.
Yeah, there was one commercial guy up around the St. Lawrence Seaway, and he was talking about that on a video, and he said something about his darn boxes would get hot and slide on him. And I don't know whether it was wax or something. It was something else he also put on the outside.
I saw that comment too. I can't remember what it was.
Well, there was a guy who had a YouTube video, and he was talking about that, and he used to coat the outsides of the box with some kind of coating. I'll say silvery looking stuff.
Okay.
And he said that the boxes would actually, the way I got it, would slide, off of each other or something like that.
Well, a couple of things I've seen with the wax dip boxes that I get, my 15, 60, so 3rd year, of course, I had all this nice new equipment that I'd bought, and then I'd have my big stacks, and they'd have like 6 deeps of honey in a pile, so it gets pretty heavy. And then a hot day, and I could see flakes of wax squeezing out from between the boxes, being pushed out of there because of the weight and the heat that made the wax. So it didn't cause them any problems, but it looked kind of funny, these wax flakes coming out of the thing. And another thing is I've had a bunch of boxes painted by a daycare center. Somebody I know kind of manages a daycare center. So once in a while, I'll paint up. I'll get a bunch of undipped boxes, just some plain wood boxes, and I'll prime them really nice. Take them over there, and the kids will do artwork on them, make them all colorful and pictures and stuff on them. I'll bring them home, and then I'll polyurethane them to protect, because they use temper paint and stuff. It's not waterproof, so I'll put polyurethane them. Boy, that makes boxes slick. They're really hard to hang on to because they're so slippery, but it protects the paint.
So is this one of your Canadian friends? He's going to do 2A pallets.
Tritone is in the States.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to make your dipper big enough to dip 2A pallets. Are you in the 2A
Well, the
pallet
big
club?
thing of it is, from what I've heard of all these different guys, is you need it like, if you know how much fluid you're going to put in there, you need to be like 6 or 8 inches above that with your tank, because that foam builds
I would
up.
say at least it foams a lot, and it's a mess when it foams over.
Yeah.
It's lots of head space in there. You'd be amazed how much it comes up.
I know. I mean, I guess that's what the water and the wax mixing to make that foam, or air or something.
Yeah, because it doesn't just come up out of the water like just fresh water.
Good night, Cuddy or Lee.
Night, Lee.
Yeah, we're gonna be a couple more minutes or so here, and I think we'll shut it down.
Another thing I learned about building a dipper is put a bottom in it. You've got the bottom of the dipper, and you've got to put some kind of a perforated, maybe expanded metal or something in the bottom, because if your woodenware sits on the bottom, your burner will burn the wood.
All right, so you got to have basically a grate above the bottom, and have it just basically something with liquid underneath of it, just like a honey tank or whatever.
Because the metal of the part of the dipper will be hotter than the wax, and it'll burn the wood.
Yeah, DC says it's the water that's mixing with that makes the foam.
Right.
And everything. But yeah, it'd be nice. I don't know. That'd be something more. It's like everything else. You try to do something like that, to make it. That's another little business, and more time taken away from you to be able to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Bobby B. After bees make cap queens, do you put them in the hives or in an incubator? After 6 days, they cap. I take mine and put them directly into the incubator.
You put them in a roller cage, then in the incubator, right?
No, I just put them in. What I've been doing in the past is I take the cell bar out, brush the bees off gently, carry that cell bar to the incubator. Don't shake it or anything like that. Be very careful. And I place it inside my incubator, which is a top of an old refrigerator, which used to be the freezer area. It's got a heat lamp in it. It's got water in it. It's got a fan in it. Keeps the humidity up, blows the air around. And I put that frame inside a little nuke box is what I do. And it just hangs there, and the air, and I have it up on sticks so the air can go underneath the box and come up through there. So it makes everything even heat and humidity. And the game plan was they would stay in there for 5 days. Then that gave me a day and a half on average before that queen would hatch. And then I would take that cell, put it in a little egg carton, because I'm right behind my house. walk it out there to the apiary and put those cells in my 2-way or 2-frame mating box. And then in 2 weeks, it would hatch and come back and mate and all that stuff. Now, this year, I'm going to take Brad's suggestion and also some of my experiences from last year. I'm going to put them in the incubator. I'll wait 5 days. I know I have a day and a half to go. Then I'll cage them in a hair roller cage. Day and a half later, they're going to be, I'm going to keep checking them, multiple times during the day, hopefully. And she'll be hatched. And when she hatches, and I'll peel that cocoon off, put the cap back on. And I got an old little bear, honey bear, and I got, it's crystallized honey. Take my finger and rub a little bit of that on the cage for her to eat, and then get her. And then what Brad suggested is I'll mark her right there, and then I'll put her in a JZBC cage, and then we'll walk on out to the 2-frame mating boxes and direct release her. And that's what's going to be my plan for this year.
Jason's asking what's your take rate using that method.
What's that?
Jason,
I think that was the cells in the nukes method, wasn't it? That he's asking about.
What's your take rate?
What my take was the last year, I would have an 80 or 90%, success rate as far as getting mated and all that. Now, as far as like the where I walked that virgin in, and she got mated, and she was one of my great queens. I mean, that was one of them queens that while she was in the cocoon, I'm like, I could see her moving back and forth. I'm like, oh, she's a dud, And I said, what? I'll just take a chance and put her in the incubator by herself. Sure enough, she hatched, and I just let her walk in, and she done great. Last year, I didn't graft as much last year. I probably did 60 cells or more, and that was it. I would have did more and sold more the year before, but I don't know. The weather was lousy, and the weekend, I don't know. I just kind of ran out of time and ran out of energy, I guess is what it amounts to.
I like besides the fact that they're so easy to mark when they first emerge, because they don't fly. They just crawl around on your hand, and you could just catch their legs and mark them. But one of the things I really like about that method is if I'm not certain if, I've got a cell in my incubator, am I certain that all of those cells are going to actually emerge? Well, sometimes they don't, right? So if that cell doesn't emerge, I'm not going to waste a mating nuke on it, right? Every mating nuke I have is going to at least get a virgin queen. And then the percentage failure rate is depending on whether or not they're going to mate, right?
Right.
One little detail that Charlie was explaining there, and when I do it, I have that hair roller cage, and I just set the JZBZ cup on top with the cell hanging down inside. Well, if you go down to the bottom of that hair roller cage, the bottom cap, there's some little indentations around the perimeter of that cap. Just smear a little bit of honey into those little indentations so that when that queen emerges from the cell, she can go down there and she can snack on some of that honey, because it could be a few hours before. Yeah, you can pop that cap. You can show.
Talking about the little wagon wheel look on it?
A little wagon wheel thing. Just put, you don't have to fill it up. Don't put lots, because if she gets it on her, she gets all sticky, that's going to be the end of her. Just a little bit of honey in there, and then she can come down there and snack, because, we try to check ours every few hours, but we're not getting up in the middle of the night. So we'll check them we'll check them as late as we want to walk to the apiary, because if we check them and there's a queen, then we want to walk it out. But it may be, the evening would be the last time we check before morning, so they could be in there for 10 hours.
The main thing of it is, Bob, is get yourself, if it's liquid honey, get yourself a little syringe and put a droplet in that bottom of that lid.
So this is a Theracell cup, right? It's one piece.
Mm-hmm.
So once I graft to this cup, and they start drawing the cell out, I was just planning to put the roller right over it, and then I could stand the rollers up
sure.
in my incubator,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That works fine. The JZBs don't snap in, but they sit in there okay. I
Yeah.
just take a block of wood and I drill holes in it that
Yeah.
hold
What
the
was that you said
hair
about?
rollers
Did you
upright.
put a hole and then you use a Forstner bit for that? So that little lid snapper
It wasn't
thing
my
there?
idea. It wasn't my idea. But all he did was he did that. I use a 2x6 so that I can have
Right.
2 rows of holes in the one
Right.
2x6.
That's what I.
And
That's
then
what
so
I got.
he did that, drilled with the Forstner bit the holes for the hair roller cages, and then he took the thing and he flipped it upside down and he ran it over his table saw and cut a kerf right down the middle of both of those lines of holes, so that
Yeah.
when you put that hair roller cage, the little tab from the hinge sticks out in the kerf, and so you don't have to make the hole bigger to accept that little tab. You can still
Yeah.
make it, because if you make the hole big enough for the tab, the hair roller cage kind of wobbles around in it. So you can make the hole a little smaller to hang on to the cage, and the little tab sits in the kerf that you've cut with your table saw.
So really, what he would have done, I guess, first would be take the 2x4 and make it cut that slot with that table saw, and then just place the Forstner bit over top of that and go right straight down. It would.
I think I'd cut the kerf second, because your Forstner bit you won't have your pilot in the middle then drilling in anything. It'll be in the kerf, and probably be a little less precise in trying to drill that hole. So I drill all the holes.
It would be off center, wouldn't it?
You'd have to be off center. So I drill all the holes, and then you can line up the center of the hole in the
with
plank
that knife with the
table
blade
saw, and just zing through. You might have to cut a kerf and then move it over a little and cut 3/16 kerf or something like that. Just something wide enough for that little hinge.
Yeah, my blades are 3/16 on the table saw. So that would work.
I think it's CURF, Jason.
Kerf. KURF.
Is it CURF? CURF? Is it kerf?
Oh.
Kerf. No, KERF. It's KERF. Kerf.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Silver Griller. Yes. KERF.
That's the width of the blade, whatever it takes out.
Correct.
But remember, guys,
That's the sawdust maker.
a saw blade does not
scissors.
not cut the wood. It removes wood.
That's right. A shear.
It's not like compared
cuts.
to a pair of scissors. If you take a
Right.
pair of scissors and cut a sheet of paper, it doesn't remove any of the paper. It just cuts it. Where a saw blade removes material in order to divide the board in half or whatever. It's like my big mill blade. It basically cuts a 1/4 inch out.
A 1/4 inch or so, yeah. What's
That's
the
a little bit,
diameter of your
maybe it
blade?
might actually be a little bit less than that, but and all that stuff. So
Or 2/8.
uh-huh.
If they're doing Canadian 2/8, takes 2/8 out, 1/4.
2/8.
You sound like him people that come in here, and I just get, where in the world did you go to school at? He'll say,
Well, we reduce it down, right?
well, they'll say, well, I got a 5/4 board or 8/4.
That's how people talk.
And I
It's
says,
like
look, it's
8/4.
pronounced 8/4.
Yeah.
I said, if it's 3/4, what you say that 3/4, or do you say 3/4? Well, 3/4. Well, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
8/4
is the same as
6/4, 5/4.
Exactly.
And then what really confuses them, that I said, are you looking for a finished 1-inch board that's finished at 1 inch smooth? Yeah. I said, well, you're looking for a 5/4 board, and that just blows their mind away.
Right.
I said, you're at the sawmill. You're at the beginning of the process.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So,
That's funny.
well, guys, and It's almost 11 o'clock. We've been on for 3 hours. So no, it removes a quarter of an inch.
Yeah, you said.
Oh, that's my big mill saw. It removes. Yeah, that's right. So anyway, I'm going to shut it down here. It's tomorrow's a work night and everybody else is, got to get up and go to work tomorrow too.
I gotta work.
So until next Tuesday. All right, Bob, is it on Lee's channel?
I think
Your
it's on my
channel.
I think it's on my channel this week. Since
It's on your channel.
Since we flip-flop because of the hacker incidents.
All right, Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We got the Walker Bee Ranch live stream. Another good talk about whatever.
About whatever. Just a show about nothing. Like
It's a Seinfeld.
And then I will be back Friday night at 8 o'clock on my regular Friday night bee chat.
And I did get
And
7/8 boxes coming. They should be here.
you got
this
7,
week.
8 boxes.
You can be in trouble now.
Well, you'll see whether that experiment
Nothing's
really
gonna
works
fit.
out.
Well, it'll fit with my 3 6-frame nukes that I bought. That's the important part. So
Awesome. Then you'll
and
see
then
what
once we start stacking them up, then we got a whole different dilemma. But
you'll see the beauty of 7/8 equipment, and you'll set a trend.
yeah,
I
Bob
get you.
on. That's it. That's for sure.
But anyway, that's what's going to be happening. So anyway, well, good night,
Right, Grayson.
everybody. I'm going to go ahead and shut things down.
All
Good
right,
night,
guys.
everybody.
Carolina purple